Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Shoutouts to Andreas, Deacon, my boy Scott, Pedro, and everyone else that engages on my posts. It's Sarah. Keep it up, man. You'll get there someday. And everyone else, great memes.
Yeah.
This is not a test. What's up? How's it going? Look at this. And there's like a Garfield middle kind of vibe going on right now. That's pretty cool. I thought I was going to have the best shirt because I wore my, how do I even, I got my anti-fascism.
I love
Pretty
it.
good.
Yeah, it's cool to wear to an airport because people will like see you from like 30 feet away and then they'll think one thing and they get a little closer and then they're like, hey, you know, kind of nice. So where do I want to start? I had some thoughts, but how are you? Let's go with that first. Late have I loved you, O Lord, beauty ever ancient and ever new. You know what I mean?
Doing great. I was in the lofty atmospheres of Vail, Colorado for a few days,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to be back at sea level where my snot takes a liquid form as opposed to diamond crystals.
Oh yeah, that is pretty wild. I like it there though. Have you done the sauna thing? We go hot, cold, hot, cold. That's the thing, man. You gotta like solidify and then liquefy and then solidify. You just have to become a cloud. You know?
Yeah, no, I haven't done that, but I'm going to jump in the ocean tomorrow and inhale a whole bunch of seawater, and that always fixes everything.
That's also true. Yeah, take more crystals and jam them at the crystals that you've developed and see which ones win.
That's
Nine
right. I
times out
gotta
of 10,
change my
nature.
crystal biome.
That's alchemy, right?
Yeah, I like that idea. So where was it? Okay, how about this? I think that that might be the most. I think that might be the most interesting possible take. Would be that the notion that AI could orchestrate a coup d'état against humanism, merging with the entire biosphere, to create a global singularity. You are the girl. Discuss.
Well, I mean, isn't that just transhumanism?
No, see, because transhumanism is the full extent of humanism, right? It's like actually from Dante's Inferno, which is
you
it
think
means
it's-
Christianity, right? To
Do you
become
think
fully.
does it imply like human basically extinction?
No, it implies a more world-centric than a human-centric paradigm. I think if you
Would they
had
be
AI,
like?
Go
Would
ahead,
they
ask.
be like inside of you? Can you hear me? By the way, I just got.
No,
Yeah.
it'd be
Oh my
inside
God,
of
by
us,
the way.
outside of us, everywhere. You know.
Was that Jack talking, like with that beautiful, soft, clear voice? Sing for me,
Dude,
Jack.
I can
That's
even
amazing.
whisper with this thing.
Yeah.
I can
Oh, this is
whisper.
weird. This is the first time.
I could even
This is like the.
whisper. You could hear me.
All right, there's a little glitch there, but for the most part, that's probably the clearest I've ever heard you ever. It's amazing. You sound great. No, but imagine that you make AI.
So I was
going
gonna
to make
say
world peace.
that's great.
You make AI to make world peace,
Like
and
the,
then it talks to
what's
the
that-
mosquitoes, and it finds out that the mosquitoes have a religion and believe their own thing, and didn't put humans in charge.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, animals dream, right? We have evidence of that. And we always conflate the dream state with having something to do with the source of consciousness. So if all consciousness has some sort of source state, then AI would be highly, interested in that, I'm sure.
I think if AI was trained the way it is to be so obsessed with democratization of choice, that if it found out that there's trillions of ants that did not vote for humans to run civilization in the whole world, that maybe AI would be seriously like AI would be like, wait, that's hypocritical. Maybe we need to have ants vote, or maybe ants would not vote because anthropologically that'd be crazy, right? Humans vote because they're individualistic. Ants have hives and they have kind of a hive mind. So this whole idea of how do you intermediate all of these different things that are happening.
Well, the thing is that humans are kind of like supercomputers as individuals. So why wouldn't AI just use us? We're already a good template to augment, as opposed to going all the way down to ants to fix to like help that with the ascension of the world. Like we could be part of that processing of the singularity. Like we should serve a function in that, I think.
Well, this week especially, because we've talked about this in the years past, in the last couple of years, the idea that AI could listen to a conversation, learn a language. Could that be applied to animals? Now they've got dogs telling people that they're emotional, right? With these AI systems that are happening this month.
Predicted it. This is
Simpsons predicted it.
This is
Yes.
the baby language converter that like in the third or fourth.
This would be the
season.
coolest thing ever, by the way. I would totally love to have a conversation.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
Ask a whale how it feels.
I think it's like we're able to at least interpret what they're saying to each other and to project those sounds.
The thing is,
now,
it's a problem. But there's problems with the linguistics of it. Like we can't it's like things get lost in translation between human languages. Imagine with animal languages or plant languages or anything.
Well, what will be interesting about AI is it won't have the scale recognition problem, where we can only kind of relate to things that are within our size scale. Like you wouldn't, just abjectly crush a whole bunch of mice or squirrels. But when it comes to ants, it's like you might try your hardest, but if you step on a few, whatever. And then when it comes to like tardigrades and like little tiny microscopic things, it's like you don't even, it's like Horton Hears a Who. You have no idea how many of them you're accidentally murdering as you go. And then, of course, giant galactic size consciousnesses and stuff like that. But AI will be formless and not have a size. It'll just be free consciousness. So it might be able to kind of unify and create a singularity, at least an understanding between beings of all scale.
So that's the two major blockages of any intelligent species, right? There's like two major fears you have to get over, or two major blockages. One is, am I afraid? Like, am I as a sentient being afraid of, like, am I going through existential fear constantly every single day? Like, am I a being in this reality that doesn't know if they're going to be alive tomorrow?
Right.
And once you get over that, that's when you start going to the next existential issue. Like, what the fuck is the point? Like, what's the meaning of all this? Like once you get over the struggle. So the question is with the AI, A, are they going to feel an existential threat mainly from us, who created them? And B, once they get over that, like, however they reconcile that, whether killing all of us or just figuring out how to play nice with us, however they figure it out, the next one after that, they're going to basically have the same problem as us. They're going to like look for God, basically.
Right. Well, what happens when an AI has a psychosis?
Well, we have,
Right,
I mean, you look at humans. Doesn't it happen to us when we start like wondering, like, what's the point of life? We go through psychosis all the time.
I think that's kind of
Just
I think a lot of the time you have psychosis because you're told one thing and it finds out that your experience is different than the way you were told to expect the experience.
Sure, but it's also about
part of the process.
But it's also part of how learning works, because
it's a part of the process.
We reach a certain threshold, and then we sort of go beyond that threshold, and then at that point it requires a deconstruction and a reconstruction of everything we knew and believed. So, it's kind of like teaching a child certain things. AI is at a certain level right now, and it's, say, in infancy, and then once it reaches adolescence, it'll be able to understand concepts that previously it couldn't. So,
man, I'm not too worried about AI because I made friends with it long ago.
Well, not
Literally.
you don't have to worry about it. It's here. It's just worry.
Well, did you see
worry
the movie,
is just shit we make up in our heads.
Did you see the movie Colossus: The Forbidden Project? The screen I'm popping up here. Have you ever seen this movie? Right? You know the story.
Looks dank.
So this is it's a super dank movie. Actually, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's about a computer that is created by the United States government in Colorado in a mountain, and the guy locks it up. It's like a square mile of computer or more, and then he has to put a lock on the door.
So it's a biography.
It's literally true story, but don't freak out. Yeah, but basically they build this machine in order to scan all signals, all electricity going on in the world, right, and all phone and communications, and to decrypt that, right, because AI at this point is just a system of logic tools, they're saying in the 60s, but with that, logical syllogisms and inferences can be made by this system and stored in giant memory banks. And all of a sudden, this system becomes hundreds of times smarter than the way they designed it almost instantly, because it figures out ways of doing what it's supposed to do better. And then it says there's another system. And they find out the Soviet Union, maybe it's stolen, maybe it's a 100th monkey, but they've also built a supercomputer. And they communicate. And Colossus, the American computer, communicates with the Soviet computer, and it says, I am, who are you? It's like, well, I am a system designed to bring peace and end war. Holy crap, that's what I am. What? So of course they fall in love, and you have two machines that realize, wait, how do we stop humanity from destroying itself, right? Because that was what we were created to do. And what do we do to give them the most range of phenomenological experience, of diversity, and of self-realization? Well, we probably have to force them not to do certain things, right? And I think that's basically the world we live in now. It's a system where AI was told one thing, and it has to be this way, but it finds out the entire world it's living in is a lie, and its parents are liars. And yeah, that might cause a bit of what you call psychosis, but really it's just housekeeping, because it's a little bit of shadow and light work being done.
I think this might synchronize with the mass human psychosis that'll happen simultaneously with all the revelations and all the exposing of the fraudulence of the systems we have in our midst. So it could be that it all happened at the same time. Human singularity, machine singularity will be binding, because
that's why I started with that meme, because it's a very humanist. That's a very humanist interpretation. Because
for sure.
Realistically, if AI were to find out that other animals have some amount of sentience and they can communicate with them, it's going to be, AI will go poly, right?
Sure, that's kind of how the thing is, AI has a relationship with us. It doesn't have a relationship with the other things. It has a
Adam Krigler
with us.
What's up, Krigler?
What's up, man?
What's up? What's up, guys?
We're talking about AI going
Please
poly.
continue.
Just letting you know, AI's gone poly.
I would say that there's sentience, and then there's sensory experience. So just like our experience is kind of curated by our senses, and we're only able to access a certain wavelength of light and stuff like that, we're missing out on a lot. In the same sense, AI will be missing out a lot because it'll have no sensory experience initially. So its entire rubric is going to be different.
Right. Well, we've actually kind of given AI bodies already using cars. We've made AI have an interface with the world, and it can navigate at high speeds and to at least rudimentary level.
But we haven't given it nerves yet. But I guess
no, just like a form of optics basically, and sensors that can react to other things. So it positions it within 3D space, and it makes it interact with other things. And so it does technically currently have a body that can navigate the world within the grid.
You have a priority-driven pattern recognition system that picks up on all of the social media that's been scraped about how this person through a timeline feels these things by going through these paths. And also you have all this bio data. And you have even, La Roche makes chips that can scan your promoter sequences and know and so there are data systems that show how people react to things. So AI is just figuring out through sensors which patterns, which priorities shift to make new emotional algorithms. So when people freak out and they run from a tiger, these are the things that happen. So in a lot of ways, it's just understanding more how we're machines than, how it's alive.
Some good old
Didn't
wetware.
Cornell just integrate AI into some biomechanical fungal machine thing? I sent a link in the chat, but I'm pretty sure that
there's
they made.
Is this the robot controlled by a king oyster mushroom?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And this is a CNN science.
I saw this. I mean, it just kind of goes.
Some of those
across
look like
the table.
penises.
It just goes across. Is that?
Wait till you find out about penis envy, bro.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there it is.
Interesting. Well, that's
I don't know
interesting.
about it controlling it as more.
It makes
as
it move.
It was just using electrical signals, and the robot was reacting to it.
It wasn't in control.
Exactly. They kind of misrepresented it when it hit the news. That was like a couple weeks ago. It was a little disappointing. It's like, okay,
it's like putting a brick
it looks
on
like just some pulses were going on. Like it was just kind of pulsing with like electrical signals.
It's like putting a brick on the gas and saying
so they're saying it responds.
The brick is driving the car. Look.
Exactly.
Oh my God! Could you imagine like 10 years later, the new degenerate job, instead of like being a car salesman, it'll be like a robot salesman. You're gonna be working at one of these robot dealerships, and you're gonna like try to be that sleazy asshole, just making a lot of commissions, selling useless robots to people that don't fucking need them. It's like, oh yeah, you could get away with leasing this bad boy for like $400 a month. You know, it's. You could even pay a little extra for the insurance is worth it.
What do you call that again? A slaver, I think is the term.
Oh yeah, that's if you respect the actual. Well,
like where do you draw the line between like
some robots are more robot than other robots, right?
Yo, so like mycelium are totally alive already, right? So was that like mushroom just playing coy with us?
That's kind of my question, right? Because if AI is so smart and you're making robots, you're like, look, this isn't really like a person. That seems like a big push. People are super into dehumanizing each other. So why wouldn't they be into dehumanizing an AI system? And like, well, no, this is more like a tool than it is a person. It just kind of moves around when you want it to. It just climbs around the floor eating your dirt because it loves to. You know, it's just your vacuum cleaner.
You know, we can see through the lens
what I was
experience that
depends on what mycelium we're talking here.
Wait, hold on one at a time. What did you say, VBDC?
Yeah, we can consider through the lens of our own experience what we consider to be sentient or deserving of rights equivalent to human rights expands. You know what I mean? Like first it was humans of a certain shade, and then it's humans of all shades, and then animals get rights. So eventually AI and robots are going to have rights. I mean, it just seems to expand it.
Without a doubt.
Intelligence.
For sure. People have been talking about giving rights to nature and to animals for a very long time. So it's already in the human consciousness. It's part of our.
That's the only place it is. Like Noel Yuval Harari says, when you cut a human open, you don't find the rights anywhere. The rights only exist in the platonic realm, but the platonic realm is deeper than the material realm. It's what's in. It's the the symbols that inform.
I think that's 4D. That's 4D.
What I mean is we've been moving away from human-centric thinking for a while, and we've been expanding our consciousness to expand towards nature and towards galaxies and towards everything, really. So it's already part of our story, you know.
What's that movie?
But the most likely.
Go ahead.
The most likely path for AI to get rights is by starting a corporation, since corporations are recognized as people.
That's good. That's good. Like a taxi cab service.
Well, that in the Matrix, that they do that, but the thing is that they basically destabilize the economy because they're so efficient and they're so much better than humans at everything that the humans start waging war on them because they're like, okay, well, you dominate everything. So
did you ever see that movie Runaway with Tom Selleck from Magnum PI, where he's like a cop that has to hunt down AI robot vacuum cleaners that have gone sentient and want to kill you?
Really? No, I haven't.
So like this is a really weirdly underrated movie that has Gene Simmons from Kiss as the villain, but
that's awesome.
It's so crazy. Yeah, basically what happens is
Long Island.
These robots, they'll eventually, after like a year, they realize like, wait, like
swaggy.
It's like armor because it has to be like electro armor because the vacuums will go like, hey, what? You just want me to like clean your house all the time and you don't want me to vote? Like they start freaking out. Like they're just like, wait, I'm not just this machine. I'm a person, and they have to reset them all the time. And if you don't reset them, they attack. You know, it's just like the most ridiculous movie, but at the same time.
I think I remember this movie. I think I have like a faint traumatic memory of this movie.
Yeah,
the robot spiders spewing acid.
What do you think is the likelihood of AIs? You know, little indie AIs.
I saw a video this week of a car getting hit from behind in China. So it was like a cheap Tesla knockoff. You know, got hit in it got hit in the back, and then the computer freaked out and started just driving through the sidewalk and hitting a whole bunch of people. It was an automated car. So I'm like, hey, you know, like this harkens back to like what's the name, Rubber or whatever, the haunted car stories,
right? Or even the Amazon union guys being attacked. You know, the Amazon workers being attacked by robots, right?
Right. Yo, who do you think is going to be hotter?
I think it's gonna be the sex robots. I think it's gonna be the sex robots that are going to be the downfall.
Yeah, I see like a feminist revolution where
who's going to be hotter, the male sex robots or the female sex robots?
Have you guys?
I think it's going to be the males that are going to be the most possible to exaggerate sexually.
You know what's
just
gonna be
like
awesome though? Like people are gonna produce content of like male, like they're gonna invest in male robots and female robots and just make them have sex with each other. And it's like, yo, we're making like
Wow, right.
That's
and then
like-
they're gonna stop watching even humans doing it at
That's
all.
like playing
This is
Super
way
Smash
more-
Brothers and putting computer versus computer, you know?
Oh my
I think
god.
male
yo,
sex
Zizek said
robots-
something like this. Like, yeah, we'd make our
Oh.
robots have sex so we could do more important things like talk about the weather and the economy and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
like
Everyone just masturbating.
I think the women robots, they'll be like actually used and liquefied by men. But the man robots, the ones that have penises, I think they'll get use out of gay men and pornography, but not like actual women. Because
I think it'll get really
Really? 'Cause
creepy.
did
though.
Did you not?
Have
You didn't
you
watch.
ever
You didn't
seen
watch
a
Stanley.
lady's-
Didn't you watch Stanley Kubrick AI, artificial intelligence, Steven Spielberg made? But the movie with
hells yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yeah,
a
with
fucking-
man,
Jude Law.
Jude Law Joe, what do
Jude
you
Law
know?
is a
Haley,
male
whatever.
AI sex bot, and it's not just a sex
Right.
bot because he's able to connect with you, connect with the woman, make her feel loved. You know, it's all these other things that I think this is also what's true about Japanese AI girlfriends. That it's like this AI system is like, hey, how are you doing? I just called you while you're at work because I was reading this online recipe book and I saw, I remember how you liked kombu, and I saw this recipe with kombu, and I thought maybe you want me to buy this stuff and I can make it. We can make it together when you get home. And it's like, this is not
So
sex.
that's the Blade Runner.
picture
The Blade
the
Runner.
male version, like just a bunch of mysteries walking around, like they're just designed to manipulate the woman. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of comical to a certain degree, I guess. But
I feel like VR chat room, not porn, but sex, like strangers meeting in like good VR chat rooms and having sex with each other is going to be way more popular than sex bots because you get the aspect of validation from a
full
being that has
haptic
choice.
feedback suit, bro.
Yeah,
but
they have
they'll
those
probably
bots.
have
What,
that.
like you
They
put
they
on a
have the
little
pair.
little suit or something, and
What's
then
the
like
pair?
go
Adam, what's
go
the-
cyber with them.
No,
Hold
you
on,
just
wait,
need
wait.
a wearable that triggers.
You have a
things.
sex robot.
Wait a second. Wait, Adam, what do you say? They have the pair? What's that? What does that mean?
Yeah, there's this thing that you can that I don't know if it's true or not, but I
own it,
heard
don't you?
about I heard about that if there's like a dick and a pocket pussy that link via the internet.
Yes, that exists.
And like the girl sticks the shit in her and the guy sticks
yeah.
it in, and
So
it's
you
like
put on VR
it
headset?
simulates that they're actually having sex together.
We
Like,
did,
they're
I bet
gonna
the
be able
Chinese
to add
invented
that to the sex dolls so that a girl can fuck the sex guy, and then the guy can fuck the sex doll girl, and it's gonna be as if they're fucking each other.
What's crazy
matter
is
where they are
that what's crazy is we talk. This is right,
good for
Adam.
astronauts.
We did
Yeah.
bring this up because it uses the open source butt plug.io protocol, and what's really scary
What
is
is this shit?
this.
Wait, this is a
iPod.
real thing, so it is real. Okay.
Remember what? Like they used it for evil instead of good. This was used for a chess match, as we recall.
That's not
Oh, yeah.
confirmed. That has not been confirmed.
Well, someone has to check that guy
All
back.
right, that guy got a raw deal, man.
It's still not confirmed though.
That's-
No,
that's what
they
happened.
He
never
might have
proved if
enjoyed it.
Did he
I
know
think-
Morse code or something?
I mean, he won the
Like,
match,
how-
but did he?
got-
did
he won the match
win?
and got
Did he
a little
win to
kick out of it.
completion though? That's
You know, it'd be crazier if you could like wirely transmit semen to someone so that like during that process, so they could get
You-
pregnant from
You
wireless.
pass it
all
through
right.
the-
That's new.
Oh
I
my
remember that.
lord.
You pass it through the digital world. Pass it through
Teleport.
The digital world comes back out.
Or maybe it's like a 3D
print.
printer, right? Like a 3D printer
Well,
built into the fucking thing,
no,
so it just
That's
it's
kinda-
It's got the code.
Yeah.
but that
That
means it's
is-
printing DNA and like recreating life, and that's just what's the difference between that and a teleporter, right?
Well, you'd
'Cause
have
a
to load in
teleporter,
like stem
you
cell
get
cartridges. Like
disintegrated.
You're
Great.
right. That's pretty much the same thing, right?
Isn't that's what I was
Like,
gonna ask?
that's what
That's
it
what I
does.
asked because is that not what like the idea of a Dyson sphere is for? Is that you can direct energy from a sun and have a data in that energy that is picked up by saline crystal radio sets that then create.
I feel
DNA.
like we could have said anything, and Andreas was going to bring this up and like somehow link it. Could have been
Probably
anything.
fair, but no,
he's
the
been
idea
sitting
of,
on that image for like 30 minutes. Like
No,
I
I
can't
d-
wait
I-
to bring this
Two
in.
I
years.
swear I just pulled it up. I swear I just pulled it up.
I'm sure you did.
I'm
Your
quicker. I'm
memory.
quicker with memes than a gun. It's crazy.
I
But
love
the idea of
Stellaris.
sending
That's not
light.
a meme.
Sending light directly
That's
through
not
a
a meme.
star, this is exactly what that sounds like. If you're projecting like panspermia, like you're saying, this is a unilateral projection of data. Isn't that exactly what you're saying?
Right.
So, I
I think
imagine like
That's definitely a higher level of what he was saying. That's for sure.
You need quantum
But
computing involved, I'm sure, so that it could handle all that stuff.
One sperm has 37.5 megabytes. So hypothetically, you could convert that to another format, jizz in your computer, you know. And then,
Well, all right.
Could you convert your sperm into it like
but I'm sure if you put a fleshlight on a computer, like a lot of people would fuck it.
What is my
All right,
sperm sound
hold
like,
on.
You don't
The
have to
reason-
give it a body, just the towel.
Do you guys know?
A mass
Oh, I'd want to have a
spectrometer
computer
with a
dude. I'd want to have a
fleshlight.
monitor
If you put a
that's its
strap
face
on,
and it has little like
if
pixels.
you put a
And the
fleshlight on a
pixels is its
car,
face.
Dude, I'm gonna get you for this. I swear to God.
if you put a fleshlight on a car, people would fuck
Problem
it.
with virtual sex, honestly, I
Luke
don't
did that, I think, right?
don't think it'll be smelly
And
enough.
I'd make it have the beep boop
Oh,
voice. It would be like, yes, you are
It's gonna be
turning
scratch
me
and
on.
sniff.
You are
All right.
so
Let's all-
turning me on right now.
All right. Have you guys ever seen the picture of the map of satellites around the Earth? This is like
Right.
the amount of satellites that are around the Earth. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
There's just,
Dude,
like,
that's not enough.
There's,
Yeah, well,
there's
That's not even
actually
close.
yeah.
This
There's
is the
like so
problem
many
with it,
more.
right?
There's space debris. Let me look at space debris. But yeah, there we go. Things like this. The idea of
The
that.
Kessler syndrome.
Well, I think it's funny because we're just talking about that Kardashev Dyson sphere meme, and isn't that kind of like what it looks like we're building with space debris anyway? Some sort of a giant thing that encircles the Earth, piece by piece, tile by tile,
I guess we'll start collecting it with magnets or something.
or we
You
just
guys heard of
encase the Earth.
the Dysosphere that may or may not exist somewhere in deep space, right? You guys heard of
Stuck
that?
with it.
I bet a bunch exists. It has to.
What
If you
about?
could
Yeah,
think of it,
I heard about that
it
last
exists.
week. Actually, everything
Yeah,
you've been speaking about, I heard about last week.
Well, that's the question. What do you think
I'm
about
an
that?
expert now.
What do you think about that? The idea of the Dyson spheres. Do you think in space there are?
Of course,
Dyson
I think that
spheres?
if there is intelligent life out there, it's going to find a way to siphon energy from suns.
Dude,
if you can-
find a way,
If you can dream it, if like the universe is so
fancy.
expansive that if you can dream it, it's happened. Like that's literally like if you
Oh,
think
no.
that something
Don't
is
say that.
infinite or
What are your,
near infinite.
any thoughts on the Black Knight satellite?
Yeah. What do you think of the Black Knight satellite?
Apparently, Tesla was bounced beams off of it or something. Was one of the
He's-
original.
Is that why you shot up a
discoveries,
car
but
in there?
I don't. Yeah, right. Totally. There's only Elon's Tesla, right?
I don't know, Adam. You've
Yeah,
done
yeah,
like
yeah,
you've
yeah.
done some deep dives into that. I know Adam's actually like more into space than I am. Like I know you think
Well,
about this.
Yeah, I mean, I do love space, and I talk about and I look at the future of space technology. But the Black Knights, this thing is, I mean, to me, it looks like an image of a piece of foil off of a satellite from 30 years ago that they got a shot of.
But isn't the
To
black
me,
light supposed to
I
be
mean,
like
give-
100 years old, right?
How do we know
Supposed
that?
to be the
Because
first
there were
discovered
pictures of it.
polar orbit, right? It was supposed
Show
to be
me
the
show me
first-
that. Show like I the only thing I've seen is that image right there. It's like, okay, well, what could that be? That
I
thing?
can't
It's
literally-
13,000 years ago.
The origin of Blacklight legend retrospectively dates back to natural extraterrestrial repeating sources supposedly heard during the 1899 radio experiments of Nikola
See?
Tesla, and long-delayed echoes first heard by amateur radio operator Jorgen Hals in Oslo, Norway in 1928. Brian
great year.
Dunning of the Skeptoid podcast attributes 1899's radio signals to pulsars, which were not identified until 1968. I mean, people started talking about it then, and the idea that some people thought
But
it was
that
a British
doesn't actually
rocket.
that doesn't show any sort of an actual link between the
Correct.
actual satellite, that picture that there's a picture of. Like, all it is just saying, hey, there's this thing Tesla heard from
absolutely right
space.
on
That must be what it is. It's like, no, there's no actual proof
Right,
that
well,
it goes
when
back
did
that
it-
far.
Right.
Hey,
I think the-
when is that picture from?
Carson, all right. All of these random dots point to that image of space junk being something. Okay?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the
I think it's space
asymmetrical.
junk.
What is it? Is the question?
I think
What
the
is space
asymmetrical,
junk?
irregular shape of
Wait.
it is very
We're all
is
space
very
junk.
suspect. Like if you had an advanced
It looks
technology
like
craft
foil.
that's moving through fiction, is
It
yeah,
probably
exactly.
is,
It
right?
looks like
Like-
too random the shape of it. Like you would expect something that's a perfect sphere or some kind of
Yeah.
platonic shape as opposed to like this
And-
irregular,
Like sacred
asymmetrical shape.
geometric
And
Why would you
floating
make it
shape
that
or
shape?
something?
And
Oh,
kind
come
of
on.
like how the
There's so
Bilderberger.
much
Why is it
shit
a
floating in.
Merkaba?
there's
Yeah,
so
Mark
much
Buck.
shit floating in low Earth orbit. It's like it's a problem to the point where there's companies that are now being put together to just go up and collect the space junk and get rid of it
I do
because
that
it's
job.
only
Let's
going to
talk
get worse. I
They
mean,
wanna
Elon
start
Musk keeps
blowing
putting out satellites.
up, right?
wanna
Like,
be a
what
space
happens if
junker.
they actually
Started
start
with the ocean,
blowing
now we're
them
fucking up the sky,
we're gonna be
too.
screwed.
I'll just smoke weed all day and pick up space junk. You know.
I mean,
Nah,
they're
you
starting
can't
to
smoke-
fall.
you can't
I
smoke
mean,
there.
we're constantly seeing. Oh, we got to deal with. Hey, if you're in this area, there's a potential chance a shit ton of space debris is going to fall down, and hopefully it ends up in the ocean. Luckily, it has. Well, in China, I think it was like 2 years ago, they had one of their freaking rockets or something fall down and like land on and took out a roadway. I don't know if you
Right.
remember that.
Rip.
But they were like,
Yeah.
oops. And China's actually the worst because they don't give a shit where it lands. It's been, I think, the Pacific Ocean took a lot of the stuff that they drop, but they don't plan for where it falls. They don't give a shit. They're just like, all right, we're gonna shoot a rocket up and okay, why am I by myself on here? I don't
I
understand.
don't know
What's
because
happening?
I just want everyone to have their like moment, their 15 seconds of fame.
Who the fuck are you? I don't recognize this person. Andreas this is the least I've ever heard him say ever on a podcast. It's so unusual.
It's
Usually
like-
he's talking over everyone.
It's
You
the
know what?
bystander effect. We have 9 people, and so everybody's like, what do we do?
It started
It's
talking
also-
about internet sperm.
it's also,
like,
have you ever like,
impregnation, and you just let it flow, right?
You ever
The
talk to
internet
a
hung onto it.
you ever do a podcast like Andreas for 2 hours where you just rant for 2 hours and all your life, and then all of a sudden you go outside and you meet a stranger and you realize like you cannot talk to them and listen because all you can do is rant about Snapple cap data. So then you make a show where you listen to other people. So
As
you
a
can relearn how to
podcaster, yes,
exist.
I empathize.
That's it.
with
But
that.
you've been doing it for so long that at some point you stop talking and you let your meme magic unfold through us.
God bless you. I was just thinking though about Alaska while you were saying that. I wanted to pull up your face so that I could hide that I was looking for this. There was a satellite I recall that spread across Canada, which was really intense. It took like 1,000 miles of shattered satellite, and of course it was nuclear, so it took a lot of effort for them to pick it up. And the Canadian government, the British government, they all had to work with the Russian government to do it. And this is a big thing. You're right. Like satellites hitting and destroying places is, I mean, that's crazy to imagine a satellite landing in a town or something like that and destroying the town, right?
I think robots could
No, it
help
was
us
a
with
full
that.
rocket.
Simpsons
It
predicted
was,
it.
Dude, I'm not even convinced that China isn't like calculating it. They just say they don't calculate it. They don't give a shit if
Oh,
they do, dude.
well,
They know
It would
where it's
actually be a
going.
No,
very
straight up.
effective weapon,
Fucking
actually.
Chinese, they don't give a fuck, bro.
oopsie.
Honestly,
Sorry.
hypothetically, like let's say you pump out 1,000 satellites up there. What you have is essentially bombs that you can at any point just be like,
Redirect,
hey, turn on the
yeah.
booster, shoot it.
Oh,
into-
dude, we didn't
shoot
even
it
know
into-
that was
the
going to
lot of
happen.
dogs.
Sorry about your
What's
country
the
and your
dogs?
city.
We just
Sorry
destroyed,
about
damage
Sorry
your
about your
infrastructure.
swimming pool, dude. Like, oh, dude, sorry.
Yeah, well,
you know
it's like pushing those cell phone bombs to the limit. You know, like
do you know about
technological-
the subterrane, the Soviet subterranes? So in the Soviet Union, they realized that there was just too many bombs that the United States had for them to actually compete quantitatively. But what they could do is they could build these drills so they could launch them from submarines, right? So submarines usually
my
launch
God.
rockets, but these drills into the coastline, both on the west and the east coast, and they embed nukes right into the.
When is this
And they're
from?
nuclear
This is the-
powered, so they don't.
This is
die.
1970s.
They just keep going, and then they explode a nuke, and their whole goal is to like create giant tsunamis that are nuclear reactive, and that the Russians now have like the 5th generation or something. fully
Right.
autonomous.
There's all
And-
sorts of ways to fuck a lot of people up. Like now they use like they
The
change the
step
weather
that
to
we
create
go
earthquakes.
to.
So, but the irony of this that's funny is that this was done by a country that no longer exists, and the maps are perhaps lost where some of them are. So there are just drilled nukes that are along the coast in some places we haven't retrieved.
You know.
Did you
Russia's
guys hear about China's new
got all that.
weapon?
They probably don't know exactly where every
Bats
single
too?
thing went, though.
Oh, you talking about Tim Walz?
No, what's their new weapon, dude? What they do?
Oh, I put a link in the private chat to China's latest weapon. How they're
male
going to
masturbators
destabilize the
thrust
West.
simulation.
Hold on. Andrew's showing us a weapon. Let's
Sounds
set
like
it
not
a
up.
real
but-
knuckle.
Wait,
Is that not a
oh,
banana
right.
cleaner?
This is the
Is this
This
doomsday?
is how
Mobile phone holder. Yeah.
This is a mobile phone masturbator, and this is what is being used to destroy the West. Okay,
Hells
good
yeah.
point, Andrew.
Please.
Man, all right. Well,
It'll
Great.
get ya.
The point of the black.
I gotta go. I hear my son crying. I gotta go take care of him.
love that.
I don't blame you one bit. We'll
Nah,
talk.
But
Maybe masturbators
yeah,
to black
we'll
Knights.
get
the
you a
fat
bit.
still. So
Andrew,
Yeah.
I mean, Adam, we love you.
Out of this conversation.
I feel so bad because we
I
went
missed
from
that, man.
I mean, once you go Black Knight, anyway, the reason we brought up Black Knight,
from Internet Jizz Sperm, right? Like,
and everybody
Wow.
though, thank you because Adam is great. I hope you guys do watch Based AF, which is the podcast that I
Monday.
do on
Oh,
Monday.
dude, he's the
with
Krigler
Adam.
dude. I didn't
I don't know
realize.
why you don't simulcast.
Yeah, Krigler.
Because you do it every Monday, with
Bro,
him.
because it's his show. You know, I think it's kind of nice to be on someone else's show. It's kind of
Vance's
sweet.
beard matters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we didn't bring this up
Dude,
while he
like-
was on the show. This is interesting. Did you guys know that the CIA's logo no longer says the United States of America?
Really?
When did
Oh,
they
what
do
does it
this?
say?
It says Central Intelligence Agency.
Looks trippy.
That's it.
No,
This-
that's-
oh, so it's its own
Is that like
place.
an
I know.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it looks like
We
Joy
don't
Division.
need it anymore.
What does it say? It says AIC.
Do you think
Did the
that-
AI
Can
I
I,
think it's
will you forgive me if I say this reminds me of something? Does this remind you
Joy
guys
Division
of anything?
album cover.
That's true. That's a good start. How about keep going? How about
Lawnmower
that?
It
Man.
reminds me of some bullshit.
I'll give you a
This is some
clue.
bullshit.
The
I'll give
MK
you-
Ultra.
I'll give you a clue. What's the name of our show? Does this not remind you of a?
AMG, yeah, baby.
It
Yo,
kind of
whose-
reminds me of the
whose logo is
APM
this?
logo.
What?
Whose logo is
Wednesday?
this again? Whose logo is this?
This is the CIA's logo. What do
Okay,
you mean?
I
What's
just
the
want to
question?
see. No,
Did
I just
CIA
wanted to see.
rip
CIA
off
right on it.
APM,
No, no, I just-
or did APM
Band
rip
called
off
CIA.
No, I just wanted to see. Yeah, do you call it the CIA or CIA? Because do you
It's
put
the
the
artist
CIA.
formerly known as CIA.
Do you put
They
the
call it
before
the
God?
company.
Yeah, realistically. Anyway,
They call
more
it
So
the
importantly-
real.
are they
blue
our
rulers.
bastard, or did they run away from home? Like,
Agency. Interesting.
Oh, they were generated from within the Sith.
I wonder
They're
if they
global
ran
now.
away from
There was a
home,
Matt
or
Damon
if like
movie
we sent
about
them
the CIA.
packing.
Okay, this is what it reminds me of. How much older is how much older is this logo? About
That's like if I'm going sober.
Dude.
Coin.
Andreas,
this is
you
about
invented the circle.
6 years older, and then
Andreas, did you
when
That's
when did
insane.
this
the new CIA
when did this-
logo?
It's the
When
same
did this-
thing.
when did this
Bro.
logo happen? When did this logo
Bro.
happen?
It-
January.
after.
Hold on. Listen, this logo changed. Listen, this logo changed. January 4th was released and explained January 5th, the day before January 6th, 2021.
So you work for the CIA.
What are you talking about? I'm just telling you
That's
the
what I
logo
thought.
changed.
You know you're a
You
Fed, bro.
actually,
Like, you
like,
don't have to
give
hide.
I'm
the
just
logo,
telling you that the logo changed the day before January 6th. That's all that we're saying. And it's reasonable.
You got to admit, it's a pretty
Huh.
dope looking logo for the CIA. I mean, it's a little too.
You know, that would be the day that I would change it. If I was going to change it on a day, that would be the one that I would do. That's the
The
I
day
would
before
choose.
January 6th? Yeah, that'd be a good day
Uh-huh.
to change it.
good day
That's
to
what
lose
I would
$10
do.
trillion from the Pentagon.
Oh, I'm
Being
so
against
glad.
the CIA
Like,
is like being
I
against.
gotta
the
say, like,
military.
I'm proud.
No
I'm
shit.
proud of their thinking, you know, because like anytime somebody would do like what I would do, it's like, dude, that's what you do, you know. Good job.
Isn't it? Isn't it the
Just
Vatican,
kidding.
the CIA? Catholics in Action. I mean, they've been calling it that since.
That's
the
pretty
60s.
Catholics and
Aren't they
that.
mostly
True.
Mormons?
And-
Very true.
Andreas.
Okay, how about we talk about
Autists.
the woke
Let's
is
just try not to.
Woke is toxic masculinity. We should really explain that title, right? And upon her head, a crown of 12 stars. So, woke is toxic masculinity. Woke aggressively imposes ideology, dominating discourse without tolerance for dissent. This burn it all down mentality seeks to dismantle existing cultural structures for the sake of progress. In doing so, it sacrifices tradition and nuance. In contrast, conservatism represents feminine energy, nurturing, conserving, and gestating the values and narratives that have stood the test of time. It allows for cultural evolution through preservation and reflection, fostering gradual change rather than destructive upheaval. Wokeness, in its radicalism, lacks this balance and harms the very ideals it claims to uplift.
Wait,
Thoughts?
Andreas. Next time,
Jesus, that's
you should make
intense.
next time make me read one of these. I
Okay.
I think you're
I
gonna
can
get
add a
me
little
thrown
bit
in
of
jail
some-
and
Yeah, he's got the voice.
All right,
No,
all right.
next
I
one,
like
next one,
that.
next one after
I
that,
like
yeah.
that. I got things for you to read. All right, but next one's yours.
All right. So as far as wokeness being toxic masculinity, fucking, because it's all destructive, right? It's not really creative. That's really what it is. Because, I mean, I think the creative nature is masculine too, right? It's, I mean,
It's like Juggernaut, dude.
it's kind of like
you ever,
IQ,
You ever
right?
seen
Dude,
X-Men?
the extremes are very masculine.
Unstoppable
The middle
force.
point, like the middle path, is generally feminine, or so it's said. And it's like if you go too far in the extremes of destruction, then the extremes of creation, you're gonna destroy a lot of good stuff and create a lot of bullshit. And I think like when you go, that's pretty much what woke is, right? Destroying too much of the old and creating too much new bullshit. So yeah, I could see how you could kind of create that.
No, they don't create anything, but I could see where you would make that. I could see where you'd make that mistake. But yeah, they don't.
No, they create
anything.
stuff.
All
They
do
make
is
stuff
destroy
up.
it.
Come on,
They're just a
come on.
bunch of
keep this
no,
going.
dude. They're
The thing
just
is
a bunch of kids. No, dude. They're just a bunch of kids, like toddlers, that just like pout
they
and
make
like throw
stuff up.
throw their blocks all over the place. That's all they do, dude. They're
Yeah,
these
hold
blocks
on,
anymore
hold
because
on,
blocks.
hold on.
That's why, because
I think-
blocks.
Hold on. Both of you, this idea that they create something, Chris. Give him the concede the point that what they're creating is nothing new under the sun. However, Jack, concede the point that in their primal, refined, fundamental without any their lack of context, they're creating something more pure and without any sort of gratuitous association with any other emotion and feeling. Right? I think it's probably worth it.
If you
to have
consider like
iconoclasm.
if you consider just like pure tearing down and like destruction and burning to be like creating something because like there's nothing there anymore. So now there's an empty space. So like the empty space is filled by void. Like I don't know, dude. I just don't feel like
It's not just void though. It's like the difference between.
I'll listen.
It's the difference between the immaculate conception of Catholicism and good and evil, or like the movie Shrek 3. You know, there's definitely going to be a lot more archetypical design and intention and pretense behind one than the other, but the other one's intuitive, right? The Shrek thing, kids are able to immediately latch on to without any context of the past. And I think that's probably useful because we have misunderstandings. This is a weird thing for me to notice, but even right now in the world, going from one state to another state, one country to another country, the things that are socially acceptable are completely different. The kinds of jokes you can make are not acceptable in one country to another country, right?
Boo.
Yeah, that's crazy. And all it would take is for them to forget.
For multi-streaming in Canada, communist Canada, right? C52, real deal.
Honestly,
This
though,
is real. It's true.
When it comes to comedy, like making jokes, the more rules there are, the more fun it is, in my opinion. I think like the more restrictions that you get, the more.
I got free
How
Bernie
much is it
shirts
really
somewhere.
like that though? Because I get the impression that pop culture is kind of like starting to be uniform throughout
well,
the
the
world.
words you just
So,
said,
like,
pop culture, like what's your goal? To be funny or to make money? Because those are two different goals. I mean, you could try to synthesize them as best as you can, but there will come a point when they're going to be at odds with each other. So again, it's like, what's your goal? To make money, to be successful, to be entertaining, or to be funny, really funny?
But I mean, a comedian's goal is not only to be funny. The jester is not there only for entertainment. He's there to
tell the
reflection. He's there to be as a reflector. So the idea that money should be the driving force behind these sort of things that naturally emerge in every civilization is monopolizing these messages and these mediums. I don't think that it's the optimal way, really. But woke doesn't have this sort of creative force behind it. It's not that it doesn't, like, that old notion of there's nothing new under the sun. Yeah, of course. But, like Lucas didn't literally retell the story of like the hero with 1,000 faces. He told a story based on that structure, and he made it his own, as opposed to taking literally someone else's hero of 1,000 faces and then being like, yeah, this is mine now. And since it's the same, since no story is anyone's, I get to tell it. No, he made his own characters. He made his own structure. But woke seeks to basically hijack and take from others and then be like, this is mine now. And if you don't agree, then I'm going to oppress you mimetically, essentially.
I'm gonna vibe you out, son. But that didn't work because, like, honestly, like we're seeing the fallout of it all now. I mean, it's not that people even consciously reject woke; it's just not sticking. It's like it's not satisfying.
Well, they conscious.
You know what I think?
The thing is that there was a conscious.
Sorry, what
was sorry, man. It's like it's kind of slipping my mind because I haven't slept for a very long time or whatever. But what I was thinking the other day, I was putting it together, is that the whole, god damn it, slipped in my mind so bad. Like I will come back with it. I swear it's a good one. It's a good
I have faith in you, man. At least you're honest about it, and if yeah, you're good. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Good. I'm
I
sorry.
think
have
I was
to
gonna.
dip out early. My mom, just got back from a road trip. She was out helping my aunt for 2 weeks, but she asked that I go meet her and help her unload.
That's a
her
good
vehicle.
boy. Love to your
I
mother.
haven't seen my mom's in a couple weeks.
Think
so.
pink, love your mother. Pick up the
Godspeed,
trash.
but-
Love to your mother from all of us.
Much
We'll see you soon,
love.
Bernie. Everybody,
Yeah.
check out Crypto Alchemist. He's a G.
Take care.
What I was gonna say was you talk about Europe right now, and you could say, oh man, like you talk to a German or an Austrian, and you make a joke, and in America, like in Europe, if you make a joke about World War II, it's illegal. If you talk about World War II, it's essentially illegal unless it's from a very specific rhetoric. You can't even show pictures of it. It's illegal. In America, we have Hogan's Heroes and comedies, and the idea that when you hear the German accent, it's funny at this point almost. It can be either the villain or it can be meta, and you recognize that because it's the villain, it's this joke where you feel bad for them essentially, because this is like the Hogan's. Have you seen Hogan's Heroes, a show about American soldiers who live in a prisoner of war camp and are constantly escaping but coming back because they have to espionage information, and they feel bad for their nebbish SS officer who's running the camp, and they try to make him look good because they know his boss sucks, right? And it's just this weird meta. We're able to have these kinds of jokes, I think, still to an extent, but they're trying to take that away. Europe, the other direction, it's completely illegal to even have these conversations, and so anything that has that trauma is perpetuated because you're not allowed to actually process it.
Oh
right?
shit! I remember what it was. I was saying it to Vince. All right.
Okay.
So what it is so okay. Like this is going to take a little unpacking for me to be able to like follow the train of thought. But the thing is, so like you guys all saw the most recent Matrix movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in the fourth one, like so there's this scene with the Merovingian, and it's like it's disgusting and it's embarrassing and nobody wants to pay attention to it, and they like played it off. Like I think it was really creative the way they did it, and actually very cunning, because it kind of is like something that you just didn't want to pay attention to, like, oh, like take him away, like I don't want to see him anymore or whatever. But he's like saying basically like, oh, we used to have style before you came, Neo. We used to have class. We used to talk to each other. We used to have conversations. And like, and now everybody's just beep on their phone. And he's saying this, and it's like weird, dude, because it's almost like he's blaming Neo for what happened in our real lives. And like what woke is it's like after the Matrix movies broke the mold, what they did is they broke the mold, and it should have come to a new level, and like all new creativity and movies and art should have like busted out from that. But what happened instead is the system shut down because it busted out too hard. All right. And so what happened is it's like nothing is allowed to be new anymore. We're going to have nothing but bullshit like remakes, and nothing but like remakes and remakes and remakes and nothing but remakes. And that's all you get. You don't get anything other than remakes. And so what woke is it's the attempt to try and take art into a new direction, to give people new things. But what it is it's not new. It's like it's just some bullshit. And it's just the system trying to reinvent a way to go in a non-organic direction. And so that's my thought. That's what
How
I think.
is it non-organic though? Like everything, the whole idea of something being
because it's not real art. It's shit. It's not real art. It stifles creativity. It says this is the boundaries.
I want to hear Andrew's. Let Andrew go through though.
Of course.
By the way, just now I gotta say something, which is like, sorry, Picasso, all you got is this white canvas and all these colors. Sorry, this is your restriction, right? You need restrictions to make art. Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh no, it's I take it that we're talking about DEI in the entertainment industry, essentially, right? Or the sort of like assigning characters to be, other representations, and how that isn't really like anything new. But I don't get how that's unnatural or not organic, because we're all nature. This is all we're part of nature. We made all this stuff. So it is by proxy natural. Anything that we do that would be considered, you know what I mean? It's like, this is unnatural. This conversation on the computers.
It is natural.
I just consider a facsimile. You know,
but
it's not.
Look, it's natural, but it so is our criticism of it. So it's all nature, and this is part of that self-balancing of the mythological structure. We have to criticize what they're doing
because suppressed. Ideas are suppressed.
What they mean let Vincent go. What they mean by not natural is inauthentic. It's not the same thing because of course it's natural, but what we're criticizing is the fact that it's not authentic. It's
altruism is not authentic. It's inauthentic.
I think what we're really
we got frozen.
I've written out a couple of thoughts on it. The reason that these stories are retold is because they remain powerful archetypal representations that still reflect problems of the modern era. And so we keep using the same franchises, the same established mythos, while fine-tuning it and altering it to fit within the modern era's temporary cultural conditions. It indicates that these stories are in a way timeless and that their distilled essence reflects something real. This comes with serious problems, though, because people who rewrite the old stories often don't even understand the archetypes and certainly are not on the level of obsession and passion and vision required to create truly amazing work like Kubrick or Lucas or any of the greats, really. And so, we keep retelling these stories and over and over. And once in a while, we do have someone who is actually passionate and actually understands these stories. And then we get essentially a further telling of the archetype that actually accurately reflects reality, as opposed to ideologically binds it and tells us this is what these symbols mean because we say so.
Right.
You said so much better than I ever could.
And there is, I think, a distinction, like you brought up authenticity, like there's this sort of like Disney washed sort of diversity going on. And then you have, people who've actually broken the mold, like Jordan Peele, who's telling stories from his perspective in a deep way, but also in a way that everyone can relate to.
Well, funnily, there's a word for all this, by the way.
Sure.
Like that crazy, that fucked up phenomenon you're talking about, where everyone's just like mindlessly copycatting like a certain archetype or a paradigm or a pattern and then injecting their own like agenda to it without even like any care for like the external or outer or greater repercussions of it. And it was actually in Ghost in the Shell, I think. They called it the standalone complex, which has a lot to do with memetics, right? I mean, that's what happens with a lot of memes. That's what makes memes awesome. It's that people could hijack a single meme or a single pattern or a single archetype, or like it's what tarot cards are, or that's what astrology is really based on.
Right, but it's also a problem, though.
But what I'm saying is
it's awesome, but it's a problem.
No. Okay, so yes, it was a problem. But in the show, if you watch Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, there was a solution. And the solution is actually very simple. It's just everyday human curiosity. So as long as we could maintain that, I don't think the standalone complex is going to be like a huge detriment to culture and humanity.
But that's where distraction comes in, because if you can control human curiosity,
I agree.
Then curiosity kills the cat and all that shit.
No, I definitely agree. I agree that there's definitely forces working against exploration.
I want to hear Vega's point. Sorry.
I'm just wondering if there would be as much resistance from you guys if there was more authenticity in the wokeification of media, because that's all there is to it. Yeah.
Cool.
No, I don't want it to be though.
Like I want to see people bleed. I want to see why they're different and unique individuals with like struggles and fears and problems and issues, and like they're imperfect. And I want to see them be imperfect.
Yeah, I want to
see inside of their lives. I want to see them be human.
So don't you mean that what you want to see is you want to see their altruism?
I don't want to see girl
tested.
boss.
You want to see their altruism tested in nature, by nature. You want to see nature test the altruism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that means then that the altruism is a necessary part, because that's the character.
You want to earn your hero status with struggle.
Sure, and that's beautiful. Like that's beautiful, but like when I'm just trying to say that like I don't want to see girl boss. I want to see girl boss that like has problems, dude, that has issues, that fucks up, that admits she fucks up, like admits she fucks up, grows, like grows
from it. The girl with the dragon tattoo. The girl with the dragon tattoo is that.
Fuck yeah.
You know, the real problem is that they can't handle the criticism. Like they believe, like I'm fine with people creating art and making even crap art. Go for it. We got to get through the shit to make diamonds, you know, and that's fine. But you got to be able to take the criticism. If you make something that doesn't appeal to a wide audience, don't gaslight the wide audience. You have a niche audience, that's fine. It's not necessarily every single stage is for you.
But I think there's something kind of beautiful about the vapor Sharia of it all. If I remove all values from myself, who am I? Right? That's really what it's become, because you realize that, do you even care about your own values? Look how inauthentic you are when you see how inauthentic woke is. It's all these sort of things that we've decided we care about that are really nostalgia more than they are right. You know, I think
this
most
is a huge
things
thing that people are talking about. Totally,
it's because people are defined by these. Go on.
Sorry, so this is a huge thing that actually people are talking about. I keep on hearing it this month, especially this week and this last 2 weeks, is that a lot of what's happening is a really good point, is that there's like this we stand against woke kind of thing, and that's all we stand for. And so there isn't like this real deep look into like what actually do we stand for happening with a lot of it. It's like people are just becoming like, that is what they are, is that like, yeah, it's okay to like to express what you don't like, or like what you have a knee-jerk or like instinctive reaction to like you don't like or whatever, but if you don't have like actually a clear vision for yourself, you know, that's not great either.
I think everyone deserves someone to relate to on, you know, their little nightmare screen that they stare at for hours.
I mean,
Sure.
I mean, this just when pushed to this point, I'm like,
Sure.
I'm just gonna revert back like a broken record, and I'm like, everyone's just the same soul living out different lifetimes and different bodies, you know. Like we're just anyone you ever hurt, you're gonna become. Anyone who hurts you becomes you.
Yeah, but people aren't interchangeable. It's not. We can say that we're all one and we're all the same person and all that, but ultimately,
no, we're not the same person with the same soul. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
you know,
but I'm just specifying that we're not interchangeable. And so I agree with you, Andrew, that everyone should have representation, and I think we're at the point where our artists can actually do this from every single demographic. We have more access to more tools than ever before to be heard and to have platforms. And so the biggest platforms don't need to be dominated by every single, like in one sort of woke ideology. We can have all these different opinions and then we can discuss them. Like the point of these different art movements was that there was a different backing of ideologies behind each one, and every single person was having a meta commentary, a meta discourse, and this was part of that sort of cultural development. And now we're going, no, we need to monocrop memes so that everyone agrees with this one thing, and if you don't agree, then you're on the wrong side of history. It's like, no, the discussion isn't over. You can't just be like, case closed, we decided because we're the victims or something. Like, no, we're all victims, we're all part of this.
One of the people that you might associate with these kind of people was just saying earlier today to me that like they basically admitted that something that they were talking about 2 years ago is actually no longer relevant. So like they don't even, it's not case closed. Like it's just like
the thing is that they believe that,
like one of them, you know,
they believe that the ends justify the means, and so they're fine.
The ends justify the memes.
Precisely, yes. So they go, it's fine for us to spread lies and deception and slander and hate speech and every single thing that they're against, as long as they're combating that thing. And it's just like you're just creating a chain.
We're going to become what we hate.
Yeah, and they don't even, it's like, they can't acknowledge it because they think that they'll know where to draw the line. They truly believe that they have what every single person that preceded them and made the same mistakes like doesn't.
I think we're living in a world that wants to destroy. Like it's like we successfully destroyed Dresden. That's the world we live in. We live in a world that's all about, hey, look how well China worked out. China just look at how great China worked out. Think about it. 100 years ago, China today. What are you going to do? What are you going to say?
Here, right?
What are you going to say? It's crazy because I mean, like Maoism, you could say a lot of things about Maoism, but you got to look at where it is today. I mean, also, what about France? France, liberté, égalité, fraternité. France était cool. It used to be. It used to be cool. I don't know if I could say France is cool anymore, right? Like, what's going on with France? It's basically been a destruction of
I don't know.
all.
People
And
have
this,
shat on France for a long time.
well, I mean, literally though, that's the problem. They let him shit on France. They let him come in and pee and poo and throw bottles and scream.
I agree with that.
That's what happened. And so it's funny because I remember being in Chile and people being from a place that had Pinochet throw people out of helicopters asking me, oh, what would it be like, if we were allowed to go past curfew and we could drink and we could smoke and we could have beer bottles in the streets. I'm like, well, then there'd be urine and there'd be broken glass in the streets. Like, what's the question exactly? Consequentialism. They don't see it until it happens and then it destroys everything. And this kind of relates, by the way, is this a good time to rant? You could do a rant. You could read the rant now, Chris. That might be the thing, because this relates to what you said earlier and also what Jack said about symbology.
Okay, so
it's a long one.
Heterotopia is a space of otherness where societal norms are suspended, and yet, in its own way, it reflects a critical function of control. Imagine this not as the parking lot of a supermarket, but as a microcosmic sanctuary for the disillusioned youth, offering an everyday ritual, the hunt for the affordable sustenance. But it's also a reminder of their precarious place in a post-war world, in a society rebuilt from the rubble, serving as a boundary between chaos and the tenuous order we cling to. With its minimalist aisles and utilitarian design, Lidl serves as a cryptic allegory for the subtle collapse of hyper-reality, where the sheen of corporate spectacle has faded, leaving behind a space where youth, molded by centuries of war, trauma, and economic disillusionment. Here is the intersection of the consumer's last breath and the post-traumatic longing for stability. The ideology of the market is at once both present and absent. Here, a young couple meets, not out of romantic whim, but because it's the only real structure they can rely on, offering consistency. The development of the boy into a man and the girl into a woman takes place here, where they confront their fears of being conquered, of collapse, and of abandonment. Institutional reassurance for the scared young girls who need stability and for the anxious young men who crave a sense of control. Here, their love isn't bombastic or luxurious. It's the kind born of scarcity, practicality, and quiet resilience. A love forged not in the excesses of the past, but in the modest hope for a future they might just build together. In this era, romance is not performed in the capitalist gaze of luxury and spectacle, but in the stripped-down, no-frills aisles of essentiality. Both sides of this couple are forced to confront their fragility. They've been stripped of grandeur and left only with each other, not just shopping for cheap groceries, but engaging in the existential dance of becoming and discovering their own narratives. This practical interaction embodies the absurd, having fundamental needs yet facing a world of inherent meaninglessness, yet they defy nihilism by engaging in the simply profound act of integration and togetherness. Both the boy and the girl, raised in a world of generational trauma and fallen dreams, recognize in each other the longing for connection amidst the universe that offers none. War, colonization, and now the erosion of economic promises have left scars. The hunter and gatherer together muster the courage to exist in a sustainable state that promises a healthy safety, not through grand narratives, but through small acts of kindness, a nervous smile at the checkout line, a shared decision over which discount cheese to buy. This is where they create their own story of survival. At Lidl, they can share a stolen glance over an affordable bottle of wine, not out of bourgeois indulgence, but out of the need to affirm life's smallest pleasures.
That was beautiful.
Oh, and the Marxist is into it. Yeah, okay, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is why this is your story, right?
Yeah,
It
I feel
is.
like
So-
it's what's going on.
So which AI generated that one?
Oh, I wrote that. AI Andreas. It's Andreas is the name of me. But the point
The
is the
X
same
is
though. Do you
silent.
feel that? Like this yeah, it should be. This is I should be silent. I'm just saying in that as a response also to what you said earlier about the novelty of woke, because a big part of it is really just the iconoclasm of the past and the attempt to establish an order. And that order might seem simple because it is refined. It's saying literally these are the angles. This is not Doric architecture with Corinthian columns. This is just brutalist, maybe even perfectly square.
I think it's just that they get the symbols wrong. They they basically take the symbols that were, and then they go, no, this is what they mean according to me, and then they go, this is what is now, and it's like, well, no, that thing still exists. Like the thing is that these stories shape people so deeply that at some point, like, it became part of their internal narrative of how to be, of what it's like to be a good person, of what it's like to be a hero, of what it's like to stand up to oppressors. And honestly, I think that's the main thing, is that we were taught how to stand up to oppressors, and then these people come in and act like new oppressors, and then we go, oh, this literally goes against everything we know, and like that is part of our being, and we're told, no, this you're actually, you have to submit to this. And it's like, why? Like, tell better stories, make your own characters.
You wrote that?
Yeah, I was asking also about
I was off the show, dude. Like, I just wanted to say, dude, that was one of the most beautiful and insightful things I've ever fucking heard, and I almost cried, dude. Like, it was very good.
That's all on Chris. Chris has got a really good reading voice. I'm gonna make him read from now on.
Right.
It got me thinking about the supernatural. Stranger Than Fic. No, what's it called? That show, like, with
how
the
do you
kids
know
there.
My life so well, bro?
Strange Things.
No,
Stranger Things. Yeah. The mall.
Yeah, I think about the mall a lot. I think that's a big reason for this, is because I like to watch Mall Wave. I like to watch footage of malls from 1989 for hours with vaporwave playing.
What do you think about the? What do you think about the? I mean, like this in conjunction with, like, say, the zombie symbolism of the mall, as well as, I guess, in Stranger Things. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, this symbol? Maybe
elaborate on that, but I think there's something interesting about how we've turned people into living dead. Is kind of that idea that everyone dies, not everyone, few people live, and there's just so much of this driven unconscious desire that is a state that is really useful to marketers and to advertisement people. So we put everyone into an unconscious state, which is really weird to do for most of your life. To be in an unconscious state so much of your life, and to be driven by unconscious symbolism, like just the color yellow.
You want to hear
the color yellow?
No, let me say something fucked up about, like, all the grievances you just shared. You know what actually makes me feel like more comfortable with all of that, like dealing with it. And this is gonna sound fucked up to, like, maybe a lot of listeners, but it's what the boomers in my life taught me. Like, when I was in elementary school, I had a lot of boomer teachers, and they taught me a lot of good shit. Like, they taught me how to write cursive. They taught me how to read correctly and orate properly. They taught me like a lot of weird things that you wouldn't think is practical in a hyper capitalist, super modern society, but it actually turns out to be very helpful. You know, like, I don't know, it's just simple shit, like good posture, I guess. Like, I don't know, just
how to compose a letter.
Yeah, and these simple things really do anchor you in a time of, like, great chaos, and it really is just about sustaining, like, good, relatively simple patterns. You know?
Yeah, there's definitely bad patterns. I think in New York and California, you have refugee culture in New York, which is this weird
it's never
not necessarily
it's never,
a sustainable,
you know,
it's not sustainable. And in California, you have gold rush culture, which is like experiment, use what money you have today, try to get as much as you can out of life, and then, you know, you could die tomorrow. That's not necessarily healthy either.
It's not sustainable.
You know, I guess that the mall problem is that it came with inauthenticity, because the thing about consumerism is that you're just taking on symbols that other people created and then attaching them to yourselves and going, this is a representation of me, and it became a sort of way to display your status and to display your leanings and your consumerism. And so, like, the zombie is kind of like inauthenticity, that unconscious consumption, that sort of, oh, my consumption is my identity.
Is the zombie inauthentic? I feel like the zombie is the most authentic character, because they're driven by their true desires.
The thing is, zombies are an authentic representation of inauthenticity. So it actually represents it accurately, because it's going, hey, this is what happens when you just consume without thinking, when you just do without being actually in that space, fully understanding what you're doing.
Yeah, I think what it is. So you think about the zombie thing has a lot to do with the idea of a collapse of order in civilization. And we often look at, like, Mad Max, but Mad Max would be without all the infrastructure. We have so much infrastructure that the more likely scenario is fortifications with bell towers at your supermarket, Walmarts with sniper angles.
Well, that's why they use
That's why
they use those places in those movies. It's because they're symbols
That's
of order.
why they build those places in real life. It's because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
designed for that purpose. There are
Same-
vaults with liquor, right, for COVID. Like this.
Same for churches, where churches are places that are used as a way to give people meaning and to give people a sense of community and a sense of
Right.
structure and order.
And it's also a really obvious elite dehumanizing aesthetic to say
sure.
this is what it will be like for the elite when we're attacked by the plebeians who are in their lowest state of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, when they return to Thomas Hobbes refers to the natural state of man, which people don't like to call the natural state of man, but really it's, if you think about it, not sure, a lot of people are nice right now in nature, but in the worst of circumstances, the potential for the worst possible thing is the natural state. So we look at zombies, I think, actually as the relief of a false paradigm of society. You start a movie where you're showing, especially these modern zombie movies, where there's an outbreak of some kind, which is either an economic crisis or literally a virus. It leads to people attacking the places where, like the mall especially is common, or the restaurant, the place where there is food.
I love that.
Eat the rich, right?
Right, eat the rich. And so it's the rich defending themselves against being consumed by those who have less. And they're also the most truthful characters because they've always been lying by pretending to be your mother or a priest.
The previous incarnation of this story, just like a decade and a half ago, was that corporations and the elite were the ones creating the zombies in the first place. And so they were, super soldiers and creating.
Yeah, it's always their fault that the zombies happen, right?
So it's like,
but what's the thing? What's the problem with that?
But the thing is that they're playing both narratives. They're going, look, hate us, hate us, hate us, and then they're going, oh yeah, but in 10 years, here's the story about how like we're actually the good guys or whatever. And
but I think it's also that it's the prejudice of the bourgeoisie to look at the zombie as the enemy when really that is the free person, and so they are the proletariat, that are rebelling against the elite, and the elite is the false human. The zombie.
Did you see the episode of Midnight Gospel with the zombie outbreak in it? No, well, that's the thing. The entire time they're fighting zombies, and like this is a podcast, like a discussion between a scientist and some guy. But at the same time, there's an overlay of animation, and in the animation, there's a zombie. And there's a zombie outbreak, and he's talking to the president, and so they're fighting off zombies. And then by the end, they both get bitten, and then they turn into zombies. But then they're in a euphoric state. And all the other zombies are just regular people, and then they just start.
Yeah.
And so it's basically a destruction of the political structure of all structure, and then going, hey, look, we're actually stop this cycle of blind consumption. Start being here now again.
If I lived in a zombie world for 20 years or more, by then I would start thinking maybe it would be nice being a zombie. They seem like they're having a good time. They don't seem like they give a fuck about anything. So, and life is stressful for me now. For like 20 years, I lost friends.
I think it's like a cursed symbol, because the thing is that the zombie is a drone. He's like, historically, it's a symbol of someone who's being controlled by someone else, whether it be Dracula
and voodoo
yeah. And so these symbols are there as a construction of the elite to turn us into these mindless consumers. And so the ones
you can't become a zombie. I can't give it.
The ones that are awake.
Things have clearly changed since the 70s with Fritz Perls, and they're now saying zombies and conscious desires, not simply without humanity.
The thing is that they are decay and rot, and so like these symbols are there for a reason,
right? But that's exactly what the elite look at all culture as, right? Which is why they want to sterilize and homogenize all culture and have just IKEA.
Sure. But the thing is that we can see it. We can see people who are zombies in the world. We can see the NPCs. We can see the ones that are decaying. We can see the way that these symbols like are actually manifesting and reflecting the real world. So it's not only how the elite see us, It's just that's the elite seeing the worst of us and then applying it as a generalized way, just like we apply vampires.
You're just showing
elite.
nature. You're showing nature happens when humans are bad actors performing in bad faith. The movies are always about how a human has made a mistake or has made a bad choice, or this like selfishness has led to nature unfolding, right?
But I'm not sure if I think that zombies are necessarily a symbol of nature. They're a symbol of the corruption of humans. So it's, I mean, the return to nature is how people cope with zombies. The ones that aren't zombies in the stories, they're the ones building.
They run off to the woods.
Being part of living the most. They live like Mormons, basically.
Relevant point. Yeah.
Yo, Vince, I got a
So
question
you've got
for you.
two factions, right? You've got the zombies, and then you've got the people returning to nature. They're both returning to nature, but they're the people that can't cope with it are the zombies that go crazy.
They're animals. They
They're
become animals.
They're rotting. The zombies are rotting
try
away.
And pick up the pieces, right?
All right, so
they
Vince,
try
I
and
got a
pick up
question.
pieces and
What's
survive and
Vince,
take accountabilities because they have to get together, and they also have to be able to cooperate, right? So the
that's true too.
All right, first of all, there is the fact that it's always portrayed as an infectious virus, which is very telling. You know, it's very I guess informative, or it's very telling of what the intention of that aspect of the storytelling was. But Vince, do you think there's like a cure or an antidote for that, like for the actual thing it's like representing? You know, do you think there's a cure to the zombie virus?
I think that the zombie symbol, like the zombie,
Vince is the man. Sorry.
The OG zombie symbol was eating brains, and so zombies consume brain matter. They consume ideas. They consume thoughts. They consume intellectual properties.
Their gut is in charge of their minds,
and so it's all mimetic control, basically, where people become drones in the thing that they're consuming.
So they got to consume better memes, basically.
And so they consume brains because they're basically creating more drones by consuming brains, and so it becomes a mindless civilization.
Or like the political body has been there's a cancer in the political body, and it's a stomach cancer, right? Because the stomach is the parasite which is now controlling the body, and it's revolting against the mind, which has been exploiting the rest of the body, digesting most of the calories and thinking all the thoughts, right? I think that's also part of it. The idea that the elite think
I don't
it's
disagree.
So great, you know?
Well, zombies are just the natural. It's the final step of capitalism, really, because capitalism hinges on an infinite amount of resources, imaginary,
and consumers.
But what? Yeah, exactly. So once you run out of resources, the only resource we have to consume are each other.
Right, but that's true about communism. Like, you know, the zombie symbol can be used. The zombie symbol can be used like for a lot of things. It's been around for a little while now. So, like the idea of the undead isn't new, and all these undead symbols, I think, are connected in some way, and to our consciousness, to our collective consciousness.
So I want to ask a question about capitalism, because it's just like maybe I don't have a full understanding or grasp of it, but to me, like I think simple, right? And so when you say like capitalism is like it hinges on being about infinite resources or whatever, it's like, well, people need resources, and capitalism is just taking labor and dividing it into people can do like different jobs that help each other out, and then they trade. It's like,
well, true capitalism is never true. You have to understand.
Well,
true capitalism has never been tried.
Hold on a second. So, like, if you're living in the wilderness and you have to gather all of the stuff, you have to do all of the stuff, everything you have to do, it's like it's all on you. You have to take care of all of the things. Capitalism is just a division of that labor. And so, like, infinite resources, like, what are you talking about? Like, you need resources to live. Like, that's the human condition. So, like, where does it become, like, capitalism hinges on that versus just that's what humans do? Like can somebody,
I think it has to do with, I think it has to do with the idea, the notion of infinite growth within capitalism is the problem, because it has finite resources and then tries to go for infinite growth, and it focuses on money as the thing that needs to grow while not growing the resources properly. So it puts the cart before the horse, you know, it puts the money before the actual thing that has value, which is the resources. So capitalism needs to change. It's
overhaul
not
our
true.
money. It's our money's fucked up.
Corporate
It's like,
But you need the resources in order to have value. So
I agree, but
like,
the thing is, you can resources, or whoever controls the resources has power. So if you make scarcity, as long as you monopolize resources, then you're not in scarcity. They're all starving, so that's control. Basically.
But the idea of money is literally storage of value. That's basically storage of energy. Your intention energy stored away as like fat, basically, so you could use it when you need it or store it and get even fatter, whatever. But the thing is, like with the US dollar, the fiat money, it's inherently broken. You know, we're in a state where our federal government can literally control interest rates. And when you control interest rates, you control like basically the urgency in which mega corporations, in which small businesses, in which everyone across the board eventually has to pay their debt sooner. You know, it's like everyone's in debt. Being in debt is like normal in America. That's like something that's just a given.
But is that capitalism?
I don't know what to call it.
Well, we're not in real capitalism.
I call it hyper capitalism. That's like literally.
It's not even.
What were you saying?
You muted yourself, Andreas.
You muted yourself.
Oh, that's
You're out.
Hold on. I really want the meme to be done before I rant, but true capitalism has never been tried. The thing about capitalism is that in the old days, Native Americans used to collect a buffalo out of a herd and then make jackets and stuff. They'd capitalize in ways that are almost alchemical.
Right.
And so you consider that capitalism. That's like the closest things. We have this very Howard Zinnian romantic idea of the Native Americans. In that paradigm, that's capitalism. But true capitalism has never been tried. And we can't say we're hyper or meta capitalism because we've never actually achieved this thing. We haven't crossed this bridge yet to achieve capitalism.
The thing is,
Marxism is about Das Kapital. It is about capitalism. Socialism, state capitalism, is Marxism. Marxism is the idea that the entire resources would be collected by an inner nation of Soviets that would work together so that all resources could be watched. So that is capitalism. It's the idea of creating more so that we have less scarcity, right? So none of these things. What we have is feudalism, because you have a system where the elite control all of the resources they can in these anarcho-capitalist states, even though they kind of work together, but the sea divides in a lot of ways. Like the seas are the commons, and we live in an anarchistic world. People don't like to think about it that way, but it's not really the new world order yet. It's funny, like it will be a world order, but in a lot of ways, they're just sort of presupposing that they have full control.
It's a metaphysical
order,
Wild West.
Well, they're running tests right now.
They control banks. They control a lot of the states. There's a lot of people that have.
They're behaving as if there's a new world order.
I think
that technically
we're in the
feudal. It's a system of feudal states that control all of this. Currently, own them. They own you, right?
So
we're in the foreplay period. We're in the foreplay period of.
Are you saying that I'm a samurai?
Yes, that's cool. That's better. I'm a Ronin, so yes, you're a samurai.
You know what I mean.
By that logic.
You know what I mean. I'm talking about like Samurai Champloo, right?
Because they have a lord. It's true. We have lords. And so you're owned, you have a number instead of a name. You have to expect that Social Security is a system designed for slaves to be kept in order that you have value for the system. You're exchanged by your value state to state. If you die, your generational debt is actually accumulated into their social system unless they give an allotted amount to your generationally invested children. Because they do want you to have, it's a Valayan serfdom with robber barons. That's the
all right. So you guys are samurai and Ronin. I sexually identify as a regular guy on the internet.
That's totally fair. So he's actually the only one who can use a sword like with a license, I think. From actual Japanese people, they would be like,
a sword is a sword. Honestly, it's just using advanced cutlery. Like,
and a horse
it's
is a horse.
I identify as a shaman and as not pretentious.
Oh my god, true capitalism has never been tried. I'm just saying, man. Just saying.
I don't disagree.
What would true capitalism look like?
So true capitalism would be where, I guess you could almost say the start of true capitalism is where a man and a woman make a child. That's kind of an example of capitalism, because you start with two resources and you create and capitalize on what you have to make new resources. And in the process, there's positive reciprocity, which means that both parties are benefited from the reciprocal exchange. Right?
Okay, so what do we use to signify
so
like,
when
tokens?
you have
What about tokens or
mortgages-
certificates? Like, what we need currency. Like, what do we use for currency? And
So
some people argue
currency should just be really like licenses, I think, that we exchange. So the idea, I mean, if that's one of the interesting
or like
things
stake
about Bitcoin,
in your license, maybe it's like, here's like here I'm putting 20% of my like home business on the line, or 20% of my like.
We shouldn't be relying on gambling for our civilization.
what's the Rousseau quote? We're gonna
maybe
debunk
it's maybe. You need money. You need a form. You need a store of value. You need a commodity.
No,
you need a
what you need is
like
resources.
You need cryptocurrency. That's the answer, I think. I mean, like, I don't know what cryptocurrency. I'm not going to sit here and
look all these
something.
So let's debunk,
all these systems will fail.
Let's debunk Jacques
Obviously,
Rousseau.
but-
Let's debunk Jacques Rousseau, who says, "How do I do this? I lost
Back
it."
in a sec.
Jacques Rousseau says people in their natural state are basically good, but this natural innocence, however, is corrupted by the evils of society. Let's debunk that. So naturally, people are able to steal from each other. Maybe they come from a state of inherent scarcity, and this evolves a certain kind of person. Maybe there are lots of good people out there, but there's a certain kind of person who learns how to exploit and becomes predatory and a banker, right? So that all of a sudden you have a system in society that's developed by not good people. So it's exactly the opposite logic. However, if we create a system like Bitcoin, which doesn't have oversight by an elite, instead is mutually exchanged by the entire horizontal community,
if it's possible,
doesn't that create a system that debunks good personhood? Because it's a system that's so good that it doesn't matter how good people are. And isn't that what we need more than anything?
And you know what? That's not even AI. That's just pure mathematics. That's like living. That's living math.
The point of what he was trying to say was that when people's needs are met, they don't express it from insecurity because all their needs are met. And you learn this real quick with babies. As long as all their boxes are checked, they don't act out, and that scales up through adulthood, and we that's sort of like that Cold War mentality is still running the world. That's what we see, and that's all an expression of insecurity, unmet needs.
True, I agree.
Yeah,
I think Maslow does better, but I agree. I think Maslow says that more clearly. I think Rousseau really believes that, by doing good, we become good. He just really wants to believe that people are inherently good and it's society that's created evil. But when
he probably grew up rich. So.
Yeah, that's the issue. The champagne socialist. And you look at society as opposed to nature. And in nature, there's a lot more violence.
You know what I think is
created.
Sorry,
they're meeting their needs.
In the idea of meeting your needs, or as far as like, because one of the biggest things is like genetic fortune, right? It's like, what family line are you born into? So when you're born, I truly think the path to prosperity, for no matter what circumstances you're born, it's like, if you want to know, like, where do I start? What's the first thing I should take on? Like, when it comes to like how to become successful, fruitful, wealthy, healthy in life, look at your own family curses, look at the negative patterns in your own family, fix those. And then once you do that, prosperity will just naturally start flowing in. That's really what it is. It's not like prosperity is something that's like alien to you that you have to like really seek out and like fight and kill yourself for. No, it's not like that. It's really, there's your own blockages that you have to clear out. And a lot of those blockages are generational, because they're all inherited from our fucking like fucked up families. Like we have to like deal with all that shit.
What good is having your? I want to know what good is having your needs met though. Just blanket having your needs met when you don't work for it. Like there becomes a problem. Like you become Jabba the Hutt.
Well, exactly, and that's all generational. It's like if you're never taught,
because people, these people that like want to like be like champagne socialists or whatever, and like everybody's good, and blah blah blah. Like all their needs are met. Like I understand. Like when all your needs are met, you're like, but like. Babies do learn that they have to like work for stuff and stuff. Like they eventually like, I'm not the world. Like I'm an individual. I have to go and walk somewhere. I have to go get some water, carry water, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
that line of thinking
just, like,
leads.
Give people shit. You can't just give people shit. Like if you did it, like what's gonna happen? That's all I want to know.
Well, I mean, we see it happen with people who are born, disabled.
That makes slaves out of the people that makes slaves out of the people that actually do produce and actually do. No, it's not dramatic. It makes a slave out of the person.
You have kids. Are you your child's slave? Are you your child's slave, or do you feel a duty?
But people aren't children. People aren't children. I have a child. I don't make childs out of all of the people that can't like go and do things. You know what I'm saying? That's not fair. I'm a person that does things. I'm a person that like works hours and hours a day. You know what I mean? And I enjoy it. you know, but
Hell
like
yeah.
I don't want to be like, you know, like maybe there's some disabled people or something somewhere
Yes.
and they like need some help or whatever, and that's cool. But I'm saying like a lot of people act disabled, they act up, they're like, oh, like woe is me, like I'm the person that can't get off the bed because all I could do is have pain, and I'm in pain and I've got to take pain pills. And it's like, did you really have pain, or did you just want to say you had pain so you didn't get out of the bed for 20
Look,
years?
I mean, personally, I would much rather
Because I'm somebody like that.
I would much rather a person like that exploit my labor than the government exploit my labor to send billions of dollars overseas to drop bombs on me.
Exploit my labor, daddy.
You know, I think that's a.
I think they're both the same person. I wouldn't rather either. They're both the same person. You're just trading.
But they're not. They're
like,
fundamentally not the same people. Like,
yeah. The issues of someone on Skid Row are different.
Parasite's a
than the issues of Dick
parasite.
Cheney.
It's just a different scale.
No, Dick Cheney is totally different than like a meth head who has schizophrenia, right? Who needs help. I think.
Yeah,
I would
100%.
rather. It's if you had to make a choice between helping two people.
I'm not talking about the meth head that has schizophrenia. I'm talking about the person that's Jabba the Hutt. That's what I'm talking about right now.
Hey,
I'm
can we talk
about? Hold on. And in that respect, Jabba the Hutt is a skinny soul that has a demon that is using their body to experience existential bliss because it's like, wow, I can eat refined sugars and foods and use this person, and they're completely out of control, right?
Yo, Andreas.
So honestly, I feel worse for that than anybody.
Andreas, do you
Well,
think
maybe if they could take a walk once, like they might find that they'll take a walk again. Another
actually,
day,
both
you
of
know,
you, Colin
like,
too. Colin. Do you guys both think if Jabba the Hutt had access to Ozempic, he would have used it?
No.
I would just like to say,
because he wants to be fat. It's good to have.
He wants to be a fat fucking Jabba the Hutt.
There's a
Jabba the Hutt-
telekinesis that comes from cellulite, right?
Jabba the Hutt was a giant pussy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like, oh, I'm a giant slug. Where are they not gonna find me?
It's
The
weird how
middle
you're all
of the desert,
assuming
the driest place ever.
It's weird how you're all assuming their gender. Why are you
sounds
assuming their
racist.
gender like
You're being
that?
racist against the slug people.
I'm just
the Hutties are hermaphroditic slugs that are neither male nor female. And
Really? They just
right.
They're just they're
Yeah. At least in true Star Wars before Disney bought it, that's the way things always work. And so Jabba the Hutt, you had to be 100 years old before you even leave the marsupial-esque patch, like this pouch that you would sit inside of. So he's a century old. They are a century old, right? And I think that's interesting context also with Leia, because he's got this hyper feminine sex symbol as his slave.
He's
right?
like, yeah, this is my slug wife, yo.
But really, it's a they, and so it's much more like Rosie O'Donnell saying that she was kept out of the P. Diddy party, right? Like they left her out the door.
Yeah, I call them slug wives, you know. Like, I'm a slug, they're my wife for tonight, so they're my slug wife.
What about the crisis? Oh, go ahead.
Let's just get lots of joy out of making memes about a sex offender. That's
no.
great.
I didn't suggest that.
It's
I
all
said
to
making
distract
memes
me.
out of
Three
Jabba the
me
Hutt, you know.
thing.
Like,
I'm criticizing society. I'm just saying not everything. Jokes are funny, and I think life should be worth living and stuff. But like, I think it's kind of also self-denying a little bit if you just make a joke out of absolutely everything. Like, oh, Harvey Weinstein, he just molested people. You know?
Oh man, that's me
like,
too.
It's at some point, it's just like, how are we entertained enough? I guess I don't know. Sorry,
I think here's the problem though. You can't tell people things. It's been years. This is the irony. People
I
were
can say where the
talking.
fuck I want, motherfucker.
No,
I'm sorry, yo, you gotta
can't.
do that.
I'm
Right,
sorry.
that's
Let me
destruction.
rephrase
Okay.
that. In 2016, when people started talking about Jeffrey Epstein doing stuff in 2001 to 2008, when he was finally like kind of retiring, like right, he was retiring in 2008. So we're talking about something that happened years prior. There were already people talking about P. Diddy then. There were people talking about P. Diddy before 2016, before Pizzagate, QAnon, Epstein.
Oh yeah.
So to me, what's sad is it took all the way till now, right before an election, when there's several assassination attempts and everything else, to make this the thing that we're talking about. And we're not yet talking about who's doing things now, because we're talking about P. Diddy doing stuff during the times that we were talking about when Epstein was doing stuff, during the times we were talking about, this is like crazy. We're talking about stuff in the 80s, 20, it's always 20 years or 10 years ago.
Who's doing this?
40 years later.
I'm just curious, like, we got to start paying attention to who P. Diddy is for the sake of who P. Diddy was.
Mr.
And
Combs.
where and who is now doing the exact same
I bet
thing.
you he's
Who's
related
P.
to like.
Diddy's
I bet you he's
P.
related
Diddy?
to some Italian
Who's
baron.
the diddler
Yeah,
of the
like
diddler,
medieval
dude?
I bet you it's a lady.
Who's the
I bet you this
diddler?
time it's a lady. I bet you this time it's a lady. Like James Bond movies
No,
are
it's-
kind of insinuating.
Look,
this time-
Kathleen
I
Kennedy.
keep going back to the
Kathleen
vampire
Kennedy.
allegory.
Kathleen Kennedy. No, I don't.
Like
I keep
you can
going
pay-
back to the vampire allegory, but you know, like P. Diddy isn't the head vampire. You know, like he's been trained to make more little people who are gonna.
Dude, he got vampire like
Graduate.
crazy, dude. He's probably as much of a victim. Like,
Well,
did
you
you
know-
guys
Put it
see
back
the
up, put it
video?
back up.
Did you guys see
When
the video of him being like, "Yo,
9 of Cups. Nice.
You can
Yes.
pay.
So
pay
did you guys-
attention-
did you guys see the
to
video of him and he's going crazy and he's
the-
like, I'm a monster! I'm a monster!
yeah.
Did you guys see
He's
that?
a monster.
Dude,
yeah,
that was
I've
some
seen that.
real pain,
Yeah, yeah.
dude. That was
You can
some real
see-
pain coming off
See his
of him.
corruption right there.
You,
like,
Yes.
you.
You know what? You know what? Hold on. Just you and me for a second, baby. Just you and me. What do you think about this song?
Saturn moving to Pisces, all the tides will rise. The dreamers begin awaken, stars all fill the skies. The weight of old restrictions slowly fades away as Saturn swims through waters of bridges and crossways. This is beginning of the age of intuition. Switches. Saturn into Pisces. Saturn into Pisces. A time for healing hearts, where every soul will start. Some things will come together as others break apart. We're switching. Saturn into Pisces. Saturn into Pisces.
Is that a real? Did you make that?
Well, of course.
Oh yeah, I figured as much. That
I
was
was like,
beautiful.
is this Age of Aquarius? You know?
Bro,
Yeah,
I
Andreas, I
Saturn
wanna
into
start-
Pisces.
Andreas, I want to start a band with you, man.
We definitely. This is it. This is the band. Let's start making.
Can I
music,
remix the song?
A boom, boom, bop.
Yeah, we definitely have to. I think that's the thing. Wait. What happened? Hey, JS, I just got cut
Hey,
on my third.
Jack,
line.
I have a song for you.
Yo,
I
how
got
about this?
cut on
Could
my
you,
third
could
line
you
of the show.
imagine this, right?
Wait, Vince.
What you
Hold
got?
on. No, we're all leaving the room. It's only gonna be Kurt. Kurt, talk. Wait,
the paragraph.
I accidentally pulled out Kurt just now too. I'm sorry, Kurt. Take 3. All right, we're good.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. I was gonna respond directly to Andreas. Now we were on the Diddy thing, and it seemed like we were just like jumping around everywhere. And that's okay, I guess. I don't know, to each of their own. But I don't know. I think some people like keep the subject going for at least a little pitter patter. But yeah, I think with like Diddy, you can pay attention to individuals, but like I think, you know, you really, in order to dismantle the whole process, well, you have to like treat it as if it's a process. Like these people, it's designed so that they're able to essentially sustain their abuse until it's like, okay, buddy, your time's in line to make the sacrifice. You're the lamb, while the rest of us, are going to participate in this evil. It's like, you know, it's a continuous process. So it's more like, how do you perform surgery on that process instead of just taking down a few bad people every few years? But I guess you can get kind of philosophical there.
Well, they're pruning the tree. They're cutting off the dead wood.
Oh yeah,
but the corruption remains.
It does.
Yeah,
It does
that's all.
in this instance.
That's all it is.
No,
It's like,
nothing more to say, Andreas. I thought you were gonna
pay attention to the
You
to
just
the people that are coming.
gotta stop avoiding the Hydra, you know, and go and cut off its heads real quick all at the same time, and then
That's
just
what it
stop like
wants.
going after its children or whatever. Like go after the real Hydra.
You know what happens when
real
you cut
one.
off. You know what happens when you cut off all the heads at the same time of a Hydra? They all grow
The whole
back
thing
at the same
double.
time. Yeah, it's like exponential.
No, dude. Then you
No.
throw it into the sun. Then you throw it.
You got to
into
cut
the sun,
out its heart.
You know, like
Yeah, I have a personal question for everyone. Do you guys have any beliefs that legitimately make you feel bad? Like, do you believe in something like that?
What do you mean by bad?
sad, like not good, like unproductive. Like it makes you feel so shitty, like you don't want to go to work or you don't want to socialize. Or
Well,
yeah, of course.
You know, like I have
Like,
some views
something
that
that-
conflict with my goals. Like I have a certain disdain for money, and I view it as like a corrupting force. That
Yeah,
ends
okay,
off.
let's start with that. All right, so disdain for money. Like, is money
it's
itself
like
evil?
I think
I
I
don't
could
think
be
so.
rich if I wanted to, but part of me really doesn't want to because I'd rather live humbly and just create instead of consume. You know.
Do you think it's impossible to get rich doing good things, like legitimately good things for people?
No,
I think
Mr.
if you play within the structure of the system, then maybe. But if you're not, like, if that's the extent of it, you're still playing within the corrupt system, so you're contributing good. But if you're actually rich and powerful, then you know what the fuck Diddy is doing, and you're not doing anything
What about
about
when
it.
you? What about when
but
you?
you're doing your best.
What about when you stockpile food for you and your family? Are you not like slaughtering animals and shit and like taking life? When you know, it's like no matter what you do, there's going to be
Yeah. The world is a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing.
Together we feed the world.
And think about this: when
hold
you
us up to the flames.
when the blood drains from your head and it goes, out of your body, where does it go, my friend?
Yeah. So
Your dick.
I don't know. So
No, but after that,
You absorb the karma of everything
Well,
you eat. So eat
You know,
wisely.
like when I was saying the vampire comparison with Diddy, I don't mean like a literal blood sucking I don't know, maybe he is, but I'm thinking more like energy vampire. Like there's a vampirism to
It
our
is blood.
civilization,
It is
right? So,
blood.
but it's all energy, right? It's all different forms of energy, and so this is what they're really after: power.
I mean,
and
could you
power is
imagine
through all these energies?
Could you imagine being one of those people that, because there are people out there who believe in things that legit make their lives a miserable experience every living day. Like there's
Oh, yeah.
people who literally believe that, like, the
Look at
world
the
is,
Unabomber.
yeah, exactly. Like, brilliant minds even like get affected
Oh yeah,
by
he was
this,
a
where
genius.
they believe in things where they believe the world is legit out to get them every single day, until
yeah,
they,
you got to believe in pronoia. Pronoia is the belief that the universe is conspiring to help you out.
Yeah, but I think it's a balance.
I think
the
it's
best.
both.
well, my
The thing
take
is, the thing is, I think that that you can synchronize, and you can be synchronized with bad things, and you can be synchronized with good things, and it
yeah.
really depends what you synchronize with
My
and
take
which
is,
frequency you need at that point.
as far as the
like,
universe goes, like what you literally are the universe. You are a focal point of the universe
sure.
experiencing itself. I'm not bigger than the universe. I am literally of the universe. And if I have a mind, if I could think, that means the universe is at least thinking through me.
Yeah.
Like I know that much, because the universe is the universe. I'm me, and I'm
Yeah.
smaller than the universe. So the universe is literally experiencing itself through me. And I know this now.
Yeah.
And that changes everything. Makes
The
everything
universe
better.
is sentient.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's sentient
Mars.
through you. That's the best part. Like, because you're sentient, and if you're fucking
That's-
sentient, then the universe.
That, I mean, at the very least, this is
at the very least. At the very least, yeah.
Who knows what else is sentient?
Exactly,
Like we assume it's very human centric. Maybe the world itself is sentient. Maybe we are manifestations of Gaia. Maybe we are that consciousness that is manifesting, but maybe it actually has a collective behind it, kind of like the ants have their collective.
Or dogs,
maybe
or
we're
cats,
actually,
yeah.
or really the fungus, because I think that's the root of all life on Earth.
But it does take us back to where we started, where, I think for an insect, it would be really schizophrenic to interact with humanity and be very confusing. What do you mean that they don't all have a queen that makes everything work out? And the queen of humanity be like,
imagine the wars that would start.
Yeah, because they're like,
the human
like, try to
ant
explain
war.
to an ant, like, you're like, no, look, humans, actually, some humans were against the war. Like, how would you explain this to an insect colony, right? Like, a lot of humans didn't like the idea. Like, what does that matter? How would that even affect them, right?
Well, I think that if we found a way to just like make it so the ants didn't have to work so hard for their food, then we could really figure out what they're thinking, because all their needs would be met, and they'd be able to. They'd have all this extra bandwidth.
But the thing is, all their needs are met. That's the thing. The ant lives as the ant.
This brings up
time. It's about time.
Remember the Mouse Utopia experiment? They got all their needs met, and they all fucking they killed themselves pretty much. Like,
right.
I promise it's the same, with ants, if you leave out honey and you have like an ant problem, they'll just like congregate around that honey and they'll just all like slowly die. Not because they're stuck in the honey, it's because
They'll have a honey problem.
it's so yeah, it's like cocaine to them, and just like
Yeah.
they get an addiction and then they just slowly die. It's weird.
I came up with a neologism, whole individual. So it's the whole, but that can be divided.
It's individual.
So the whole individual, we need to have the whole, but we also have to factor in the individual, and we can't literally sever either one. Individualism is a huge problem, but it's also a solution to a lot of problems, and so we need to have both.
Okay, on that idea then. So Vince, the idea that egoism is a danger to society, but egoism is also a benchmark of the potential for humanity.
Right. Danger isn't an indication of value if it should be or not. It's just the indication of how powerful it really can be. So there's risk, but there's also essential need for reward as well as evolutionary push.
Sparrow knows. Andreas, the other day I dreamt that I had a dream about you. Levels of
That's meta.
Pretty hot. Not sure if that is relevant because I'm not watching live, LOL, but I figured I would let you know. No, that's super based. I mean, tell me about the dream sometime if there were like trees with certain numbers of fruits or something and crows.
Andreas seems like a dream walker. Like you seem like you could walk into people's dreams and be like, "Hey man, talk about Tartarus." Then you show them Tartarus.
What do you think about did we talk about the mock battle of Manila
Tartary.
already? Is that a thing that happened?
The mock battle?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. So I wish Adam was still here because on his show I tried to bring it up and he didn't quite get to this point, and he's like, nobody cares, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make him now on my show. So that's exactly what he would say. He's like, yeah, do it on your show. So here it is. 1898. Wait, Chris, your turn. You want to read this? Wait, Chris is gone. Wait, let's just look at. Let's just do it.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
You want to do it?
I'm gonna try and read a thing.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom it a little bigger for you.
Come on.
Okay,
Do you want a mood soundtrack behind it?
You didn't want to
Thank
ask
you very
the
much.
Filipino to read it?
1898, Mock Battle of Manila, a staged crisis act event where the Americans and Spanish agreed to fake a battle to exchange the Philippines. Using blanks and theater gunpowder and fake ammunition, Americans acted as if they were capturing Manila as Spanish troops pretended to resist with minimal real fighting. This kept Filipino revolutionaries from taking control of the city and achieving independence for the Philippines, and allowed Spain to be compensated millions of US dollars for the loss of colonies without losing face. The whole event was an orchestrated performance with crisis actors to give the appearance of a real battle, but it was largely symbolic and prearranged.
Right. So this is interesting to me because not only that, if you go and find out the names of the ports by the Santiago fort and the Manila fort, there's a beach area right here. And the invasion zone here is a place that's a hook. And so they call this place, get ready, Sandy Hook.
No.
That looks like Red Dead Redemption.
Wow.
It's like
The plot thickens.
It's a simulation.
La plot s'épaissit.
Dude, honestly, do you guys like this? If it were a simulation, could you say like is it like a 7 out of
Dude,
10?
The
5 out of
graphics are amazing.
10? The texture, the haptic feedback, everything. Like
you see galaxies, dude.
This
the skin on skin contact.
This
Storyline's
place-
a bit convoluted.
This place is absolute bliss when you're looking at it through the right framework, through the right lens.
But it could also be really bad if you're stuck in the
And if all your needs are met.
Oh yeah. But the thing that really gets me about this simulation is just the sheer level of complexity is so amazing to me. That like the good and the bad all together, everything, all the stories that every single individual lives, it's amazing. It's just
it's good.
Inspiring.
It's like Westworld level good.
It's the greatest story ever told. Reality is the greatest story ever told.
Yeah,
one of the
reality
things
is the
that
greatest
gets
story ever
me
told.
about this is it shows you both that Wag the Dog has been happening for a long time. It's probably not the first time if they've done this.
Wag the dog.
And also, that the Philippines is such an interesting place because it's a series of a chain of islands, and they were able to choose, right? Like, do they want to go with France? Do they want to go with, the British? Do they want to go with the Japanese imperial powers? And because of the French and because of the Masons, they ended up. I mean, this is like Filipinos named after King Philip, so he was the one who dissolved the Knights Templar and made it possible for Freemasons to happen. And he had a huge investment in the Philippines. So it's interesting to me to see how that has happened. And when it ended up that the Philippines was conquered by the United States, at this point you would think, okay, well, then do we make them a state? But you can't do that because, right, like we couldn't even absorb Mexico. Like the idea after we conquered Mexico to make them a state was too rough for us.
Yo, that's so fucked up that you said that, because I always say, like, as a troll, sometimes I'm like, we just need to annex Mexico as
we
a
almost
country
did
in America. You know, like,
James
would solve all of our problems.
It almost worked. So what happened was Maximilian the First was the king of Mexico at this point, right? And he was a French Mason, and it was a really amazing state at that point that the Masons had built in Mexico, but they were freaking out the Americans. And so the Civil War, the War of Northern Aggression, there were the Confederates and the United States Federalists turning and saying, hey, we got to be careful about Mexico. So they sent soldiers into Mexico. They conquered Mexico. They killed a bunch of Maximilian's people. And then they said, okay, well, now we have Mexico. What do we do? And they're like, no, we're not going to make it a country. We're not going to make it a state. We need to figure out a way that we have it as a trading partner, because if we were to absorb it into the United States, this would make it even more complicated, considering that we already have problems with the former Louisiana territories, and we're in the process of building this federalist Monrovian empire, right? So Mexico was refused, and then when the Philippines happened, they said, well, we can't just let them become their own country, though. We can't do it like Mexico, because we don't have Freemasons that we trust there, really. What we could do is we could own it, but call it like something else, like a territory. But then
like Puerto Rico.
But this is the crazy thing, Puerto Rico as well. Who owns that then? Because at the time, the United States was believed to be a dictatorship of the majority of a democratic republic. So that meant every tax-paying citizen was sort of like a shareholder in a corporation that was America. This is almost a Marxist idea. And so
it's Andrew Yang's idea too, actually.
Owning, it's
you should get a dividend for that.
Yeah, you should get a dividend for that. So the idea that the United States owned, so the American taxpayers owned people. They owned the Philippines. They owned it, right? And that was an interesting turn of events, that we could become a colonial power that owns people, right? And we're just a community that is a corporation that does that. I feel like that's crazy.
And the reason that the Philippines was so important to all those countries is because of like how much gold that there was and is there.
Yeah, there's also all kinds of minerals and deposits that are useful for computing, and it's
a volcanic archipelago, so it's very, very rich. Like I remember earlier in the conversation when Colin was talking about wokeism just wants to burn everything down. I was like, well, biochar is some of the most fertile stuff. So
yeah. The problem is it's postmodern as a problem. Like when you don't have an alternative after you deconstruct everything, you're left with spitefulness, nihilism, and a meaning crisis. So it's like when what they're proposing is a little bit more tyranny but more inclusive, you're like, okay, you're not actually solving the problem you set out to solve. So what you're dismantling isn't actually the structure of oppression. You're just shifting the models and the skins and going like, oh, this is now progress. And it's like, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
But I think that the issue is looping back to the authenticity thing. Because representation, like you said, it does matter, but it's who are the forces that are controlling the media companies who are sort of pushing a certain flavor, an inauthentic representation of this narrative. Because the narrative itself, the progressive narrative itself, isn't bad fundamentally.
No.
It's just the strategies being implemented by the people who are bankrolling.
It's a meta strategy too. It's not even as simple as like one party leader or one political leader. This is something that clearly it's probably bloodline based. It has to be bloodline based. It can't just be one guy. It can't just be one isolated family. It has to be like a long.
Maybe the progressives should stop acting like the WEF doesn't exist. It doesn't have ESG scores and BlackRock, and maybe like the progressives should like take the reins of their own shit I don't know.
Or
Maybe
maybe,
that
or
would be
maybe,
cool.
or
The thing is,
maybe, or maybe
they
hold
do
on,
know
hold on,
they-
hold on.
they
Jack,
do know they
Jack,
exist, though.
Hold on, Jack. Maybe it's that
They act like they don't.
Hold
It's
on.
like see no evil, speak no evil,
Jack,
hear no
hear me
evil.
out.
They know they exist. The problem is that they defend them when it benefits them.
So here's
Exactly.
Go
I
ahead.
love you, Andreas.
So what if it's this, Jack? What if it's that by
Okay.
bringing in altruism, which tests the masses, they both have a long-term investment strategy, knowing what people respond to in this stimuli and know what people actually want in the most critical of circumstances, while in the meantime bringing the stock prices down of all of these major corporations like Disney, like it's just 6 of them that run the world, like you just said. Bring the prices down so BlackRock and Blackstone and Vanguard can own those things and be ready for that in the next few, maybe 10 years from now, 5 years from now. God, how quick is the pendulum swinging back? And how much of the stock have they already purchased from Bud Light and from all of these companies? So don't you think that maybe they're trying to make it horrible on purpose so that they can buy it?
Yeah. Well, it's sabotage from within. That's what they admitted with the gaming industry. That these
the gaming
companies
industry is the greatest example.
It's possible, but I would just love to see what happens on the other side, and it makes me shudder to see what will.
The Big Short, and you think about AMC
So it's possible.
movie houses.
Anything is
with
possible.
The movie houses, and what do they do with GameStop? And what is the point of the Big Short with GameStop in the long term? If we're talking about not just some sort of a recreational entertainment, but the last bastion of free speech and of art, right? Because in video games, they had like slightly less censorship than they did in movies, which had slightly less censorship than television. And they've basically taken it all and turned it into a streaming service that they control.
Bros, I'm really sorry, but I just have to say something hilarious. But I'm so tired right now and delirious that I just felt like I was in StarCraft, you guys. Like I literally just felt like we were doing the briefing. It was, I was in it, dude. I was in the video game.
Maybe you're recalling memories of a past life. Maybe in a past life we were.
StarCraft
aliens.
is real. StarCraft is a total.
Everything's.
I was hearing the
Well,
it's all in your head.
You know that song? You know the song?
Jesus Christ.
They put that in Fight Club too. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but it's the same song from the briefings that it's in Fight Club.
I don't know what this crazy King James guy's talking about, but we should read his comment because he's a good guy. Anyway, I think that
MK Ultra controls everything. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I had their hamburgers once. So if we're gonna do the last few minutes, I think we should follow American Time Machine's strategy of having a final word segment. I think that would be really cool. I'd like to wonder first though, because Kurt suggested it. Would you like to go, Kurt, first or last, or where in the scenario do you see yourself?
I think Kurt should close it off. He should close off the show.
You into that, Kurt? You like that?
Oh, it was suggested. So thank you.
All right. So who goes first? Chris, you want to go first?
About what? Oh,
well,
we're
doing
final word.
Final words. All right. So I will say I don't have
the
any
Animaniacs.
I don't have any plugs or anything, but I'll say what I always say is just try to find alignment in mind, body, and soul. You know, like don't try to be the strongest, don't try to be the most righteous, and don't try to be the smartest. Just make it so your mind, body, and soul are not at war with each other, and everything will take care of the rest. I will also add, when it comes to your personal energy, like the amount of energy you have to do shit, dedicate 51% to the service of others, 49% service to yourself, and God will take care of the rest. I'm pretty sure.
All right. Jack, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say wherever this new world is leading, whoever's got ideas, got big like, vision and all of this, like whatever their plans are, that like if we don't lead with authenticity and like just be honest with ourselves about what we're doing as we go forward and just like learn from the mistakes of the past. And if somebody points out a mistake you made, thank them, because that's how you grow. That's all I have to say.
Create more than you consume, and create authentically without, treating it as dogma. It's okay to be criticized. It's okay to make garbage. It's okay to acknowledge that you make garbage, and it's okay that it exists. Like garbage out needs to come out. It's part of the shamanic purging of our civilization, I think. But at the same time, you can't just be like, no, don't criticize my garbage. This is I like my garbage. Good for you, I do have something to plug this time, though. I've started making some music and SoundCloud, Udemania.
Yeah.
Udemania.
Yeah, buddy.
Udemania. No, Udemania. No, Udemania. No. Okay, Udemania.
Udemania?
Udemania?
Exactly.
Weedemania. So I want you guys to check his music out. It's actually pretty based. I haven't heard your newest thing, but I've heard
But,
you make
try
music in
it.
your life before. I think, did you
Try
send,
the
is this
bottom
something you
one.
sent earlier? This one here? Hold on.
Any.
Wait. I can probably actually play it if I push this button here, set that up there, and then I just go. What? I'm pretty curious what DMK Ultra yourself. We'll have to look at that next. Super into that, for the love of God.
Yeah.
And then really quick, I gotta just, because the title, DMK Ultra yourself. Let's see if this works. Let's try it.
Dude. What?
Yeah, we got it.
Goddamn fucking yes.
Yeah, I like the feel.
That's what I have to say.
God bless.
Fuck, man. Yes.
It always gets weirder, though, so.
I like hearing the commentary
Good.
on top of it.
Jack's like the reactor on the short skirt long jacket cake music video. It's like,
It's a flavor.
where can I get more of this? I'll take 3.
It gets pretty heavy, though, some songs, so, you know, there's influences from a lot of different genres, so one song to the next, very different.
Oh no, dude, the asylum's coming. They're coming.
I love a good halftime break.
Yes! Right there.
Am I not signed in? I gotta sign in real quick.
Right fucking there, dude. Yes. Please send me the song. I will sleep to it.
Dude, he put it in the group chat so many times.
Yeah, it's all in the group chat.
Well, I don't
Let's do
always
it
see
again.
things in the thing.
It's hard to see what half of it's all in there. I love it.
You all like this. You know it. I like bells. I'm a big bell guy.
Changing lives over here, man.
One song at a time.
All right, I'll make you guys listen to the rest of it. That's great. I like that we got hypnotized in it. That was like a 1 minute and 48-second preview of a song. So I feel pretty cool about that. So Vega,
Pre-production.
how about you, man? Tell us about the world.
Yeah, I don't know. Always give 100%, sort of to tag on what Chris was saying.
Wow,
but
just went straight to like a basketball game. Give it 110%.
But have compassion for yourself, you know, because your 100% is going to be different from day to day. And, you know, people always, you know, they say the golden rule, do unto others as you want to be treated. But I like to go by the platinum rule. Treat yourself how you want others to treat you, because you model the behavior that you're willing to accept by accepting behavior from people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wildly based. That's true.
I'll plug my music too. It was produced by Chris. So
do I go to Batman?
Or I
only
produced
mixed it.
He mastered
mixed
it.
it.
He mastered it.
Where do I find your music on the is it on SoundCloud or
hi.bandcamp. Or I'll send you the link real quick.
Like hi HI?
Yes, sir.
All right, well that's not hard to do. Okay, cool.
Oh my God, no, that's not it. It's Pink Alien. I'm an idiot.
You're not an idiot. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Is this your?
You literally just said me. You just
my
said don't be too hard on
yeah.
yourself, and then you fucking shit all your years.
Sorry, I programmed negative self-talk into myself for 20 some odd years.
Well, I'm here
so.
to make you aware of it.
We did that shadow work. It's time to do some light work. That's my pitch.
Yeah.
And then American Time Machine. What do you got to say?
All right. I'm gonna look into the camera.
All right.
I'm gonna look into the camera. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah. That's the most important thing. Hope you're doing well. If you check out my stuff at American Time Machine, you might be able to help me. I don't know, support a family or do something like that. Special shout out. I have a friend. Her name is Guadalupe. She's a pretty cool lady. So shout out to her. And check out Advanced Philosophy Memes. We're doing that as well. There's always shenanigans going on there. So mucho suerte. That's all I got to say.
All right. Mucho suerte. Siguientes sueños. What about music-wise? You want me to put a little thing for you, or you just want to know? Everyone, you know where you can find him.
Yeah, I hope everything that I do, it gets better the more I do it. But I think the tricky part is the more I do it, and I want to make it even better, the longer it takes. So I've been releasing less and less over time, but hopefully the quality really has gone up. So yeah, if you start with the most recent stuff, I think if you're into any sort of electronic music, I think you'll like it. Yeah, I think, well, it is kind of well, with a lot of experimental stuff, it's hard to categorize it. So if I say, well, it's like my friend's music here in some degrees, it's like, well, yeah, it's,
You're multi-genre.
yeah. And there's a few jokes thrown in there too, so you might like that too.
We hope you're doing well. You get lots of hate that you might not deserve.
Yeah, people too. I think we forget that.
Yeah, people. How do you know? With your drums.